Okay, go to webinar, tells me that it's recording. Play slideshow. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the No Name Traffic System. Multiple sources of income from an amazing traffic machine. While I said this while we weren't recording, I will say this again. It's all about multiple traffic channels. So if Facebook ads your primary channel, Google ads, Bing, Site Scout, any other type of banner buys, solo ads, however you're primarily driving your traffic, make sure you have multiple ways to drive that traffic. In my opinion, one of the most reliable, cheapest, I think it's really the cheapest on a per click basis, is to have a no name traffic system website set up, built the way that I'm going to show you to build it, and it will simply drive traffic all day long, every day. And I'll talk about the longevity of these sites. I'll talk about all that during this presentation. I tried to leave no stone left unturned when I presented this yesterday. Some crucial questions came up during that webinar, and mind you, I only presented it to a few people in my mastermind group. So I fixed the slides to address those questions. So hopefully there won't be any major questions left at the end of this. I do have a couple quick stories to share before we jump into this. And I want to start with a story that just happened this morning. So I have these no-name traffic system sites set up in a multitude of niches, from health and fitness to trading to alternative energy, you name it. There's a great chance that I already have a site there built in the style that I'm about to show you. And one of the sites that I have set up is one that was set up recently, and it's in the trading niche. And it's very, very interesting that I haven't even necessarily completed the site. There's still some things left to be done, and I got an email out of the blue from a UK trading firm that says, Mr. Baxter, we noticed that you have a review on your site that's ranking for our business, and it's a wonderful review. And we noticed that there's no affiliate links on it. Would you be willing to put affiliate links on it if we paid you $550 CPA? $550 per sign up to their trading firm. This is them asking me to put a link on my review that holds one of the top spots for their company brand name, and they want to pay me $550 per lead. So I looked at their company and was really impressed, because they're the first trading firm that I've seen that's also going to be trading in Bitcoins in the not so distant future. So I was pretty excited by that. I thought that was pretty neat. I love it when companies reach out to me to give me money, essentially. So that's story number one that I wanted to pass on, the power of this. Story number two is even more interesting. So I guess it was last week now, I got an email out of the blue from a business broker. And this business broker says, Mr. Baxter, it's come to our attention. We have a client that has stumbled upon your site, loves the site, that loves everything about it, and it's a perfect match to enhance their business. Would you be willing to take $20,000 right now for that website? And I said, no, but we can definitely negotiate. It's worth a lot more than 20 grand to me. So let's negotiate. And so we are in the process of working on a number that we can all agree with. So that too is the power of the no-name traffic system sites. Unlike site building in the past, where you threw up 5 sites a day and were hoping to make $1 a day per site, and it was all a numbers game of how many sites can we make, and make $1 a day from each one of those sites and get rich after having 25,000 sites online. That's not what this is. This is maybe one site a month, if that, maybe one site altogether. For that matter, I have one site that can earn us enough money to live on and be quite comfortable with. So that is, this isn't a mass building system. This is a single site system, and as funds permit, or as time permits, or as passions permit, you simply expand it out. Let me ask you a quick question before we really jump into the heart of this presentation and the actual training. Do you want to live the lifestyle that you deserve? And I really want you to think about that for just a moment, because if you find yourself sitting in front of your computer for 15 hours a day, your kids are off playing video games all the time, or you're sitting in front of your computer 15 hours a day and you've planned on going to Paris or wherever it is, the exotic destination that you've been wanting to go to, but you haven't quite done it yet. And then you ask yourself, why haven't I done it yet? And then you say, well, I'm chained to a freaking computer or I'm chained to a job. That's not the lifestyle that I want. So I want you to get very clear as to the lifestyle that you want, and even more clear about what it's going to take to get there. And we're going to do a real simple exercise in just a moment to get us that clarity, so then we know where to work towards. That's critically important, and it's the way I like to start most of these presentations. So let's talk about what you're going to learn today. You're going to get clear about what you need to do. You're going to get the structure of the no-name traffic system. We'll just call this the beast. Then you're going to understand how to feed the beast. And basically what this does is it makes you give, or it makes it want to give you traffic. So we're going to talk about the infrastructure, the internal systems, the external systems, and then we're also going to talk about the most important piece, is how this entire thing's monetized. So this is me. Oh, that's my beautiful eyes right there. Hey, I'm in my 40s, so yeah, I do have a couple lines around the eyes. But let me just tell you a little quick story about me and why you should listen to me with regards to this. I'm not going to go, into a long diatribe about who I am. Most of you on this call have come from Internal Listimize, so you've seen me around for quite some time. I have been in the internet marketing game since 1998. Better part of 15 years. I have started 2 advertising networks, owned software companies, have set up multiple websites, multiple niches, and I failed a ton, and luckily have learned a ton. And probably the biggest asset that I have is that I'm not afraid to fail, and I test a lot. And mind you, sometimes those failures have been big, but it came without. I mean, with the price that came with it was one of knowledge. The data that I learned through failures has allowed me not to fail as often. And not only that, but to succeed much greater than I would have ever thought possible in the past. So again, I've been at this for about 15 years, test constantly. I've innovated a lot of the things that people see when it comes to site building and whatnot. So I hope that at least gives you a little idea of who's telling you about the no-name traffic system. So where to begin? Let's talk about part 1. We're going to jump into this. You got to know where you're going and how you are going to get there. We're going to talk about some real basic math. And first of all, I have to tell you this. It's a quick little story, but it's an important one. When I was in high school back in the 1980s, I didn't pay attention to anything. I failed out of multiple courses, thought school was a complete waste of time, and later in life realized that they just were going at such a slow speed that it just boggled my mind, and I just had no interest in it whatsoever. So one thing that I tell my kids today is when they show a lack of interest in certain aspects of school, I simply tell them, if you are going to learn anything in school, pay attention to math. Said, here daddy is, I'm in my 40s now, and what do? I use math constantly, and it was my worst subject in school. So imagine a guy who just has very few skills going into this, being thrown into a world of statistics essentially, and then having to grasp the concepts that I just had no idea what they were, until of course you immerse yourself in data and you have to learn this stuff. So realize this: math is everything when it comes to this. Don't fall for emotion, fall for numbers. And let's talk about the math on how to get clarity. So say you wanted a $10,000 a month business from a no-name traffic system, and you had a single product on that site that makes you $50 commission per sale, then you will need to sell 200 per month to make that $10,000. And before you say, my gosh, 200 per month, if you simply jacked the brand or jacked the product name of one of the top ClickBank products, you are going to sell way more than 200 per month. That's just through experience. Now, if we know that this product converts to say 2%, and mind you, when it comes to conversions, we're always going to keep conversions in our pockets, something that we can control. The product owners, they have their own conversion statistics, but oftentimes I like to improve upon what they do. So let's just say we have a very low 2%. So what that simply means that 2 of every 100 clicks to the offer buys, then we know that we need 10,000 visitors to click each month to get those 200 sales. And for every 100 clicks makes us $100. Every 1,000 clicks makes us $1,000. So every 10,000 clicks will get us to that $10,000 a month point, or a dollar a click. We really want to keep it simple. So if you know that you need 10,000 clicks to reach your goal, then you can be very clear as to what you're striving for. Does that make sense? I mean, if you have clarity, then you understand what you're working towards rather than going at this willy-nilly and not really understanding what you're doing at any point in time. Okay, so the reality in this, and this is a big aha number one, the reality is that we're building industry sites, and I'll explain what that is a little bit later. And we're going to be promoting many sites within an industry. The difference is that a lot of people talk about niche site building or product site building, product review site building. We incorporate all of that, but we go at it from an industry standpoint, and you'll see why. So let's talk about an overview. We are building industry sites with multiple product reviews. The content will come from curation, and I'm going to explain to you the July 2013 version of this, not what others are teaching that is so outdated it's not even ridiculous. And we're going to do that in terms of stories and video and how-to guides. And we'll talk about how-to guides. This is one a lot of people are really missing out on. And we'll use an intricate linking pattern to boost the review pages and social signals to boost the curated pages. And with a little strategic mojo, we will have a no-name traffic system site. Okay, choosing an industry. Nearly any industry will work. That's the great news. I mean, folks, almost anything that you can think of will work. I've been successful in deploying these sites in health and wellness and fitness, MLM, alternative power, gold investing, stock and commodity investing, just to name a few. Oh, and I just real quick about the gold investing. I just still crack up at this one. I didn't really put a whole lot of effort into that, not expecting much, because just like stocks and commodities and options trading and that type of stuff, it's a highly competitive market. Some real sharks are in that market. And the very first month I was in there, I got a $3,000 check. And I wasn't even watching the numbers because I simply said, I'm just going to put this up and I'll come back to it later on when the site's matured. It didn't even have to mature to be successful. It's very, very powerful concept. So let's talk about the key to choosing. There must be a lot of products for sale, and those products have to have affiliate programs. You know what? I almost call this the duh bullet. When I wrote this, I said, duh? You know, really? Come on. I mean, it's almost common sense, but I do need to say it. And then must have news associated with it. Well, guess what? Every single topic under the sun has some news associated with it if you know where to look for that news. Oh, and I'm also going to tell you just a little quick preview. You don't even have to, when it comes to curating and all this stuff, you don't even have to have any knowledge of it. And I'm going to tell you all about that a little bit later in this presentation as well. This is simple. I mean, really, this is overly simple, because the reality is that, one, we don't care about keywords. We're more worried about an industry. We just really don't care about keywords for now. We don't really care about the trends, and I'll explain why a little bit later on, because they'll simply show up. This is seriously the easiest system to create because our sites will dictate the future. If you're going to write anything down here at the beginning of this presentation, you need to write this down, because this is everything. Our sites will dictate the future, okay? That is everything to this system. Alternatives. Now, while I have talked about these being industry sites, there is more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. Now, I have no idea. Maybe I need to go to Wikipedia and look up where that phrase came from, because quite frankly, it's pretty disgusting when you think about it. But for the sake of this presentation, everybody's heard the phrase, there's more than one way to skin the cat. So there is more than one way to skin the cat, and there's more than one way to start off by building an NTS site. So the first way is what I have been presenting to you up to this point, and that's by focusing on an industry. Here's an even easier way to start this. Say you get a call from a friend of yours and he says, "Hey Keith, you know what? I've got this product. We're spending tons and tons and tons of money on media. It's converting at X. Would you have any interest in promoting it?" Well, the first thing that I would do is, well, where can I buy the traffic for this? Because I really want to get up and running and start profiting and taking advantage of their conversion numbers pretty quickly. So where can I buy traffic? But then, one day I said, what would happen if I simply reversed the process of the NNTS system and started a site off with a product review and then reversed everything that I'm about to show you, reversed everything? What would happen then? Well, I'll tell you what happened then. It turned out to be about a $1,500 to $5,000 a month income in very short order. So again, there's more than one way to skin the cat. I personally prefer to start with an industry, but it's not the only way to do it. So here is an alternative energy site example. You can just kind of see this is a product first example. So it's very much about promoting a single product first and then expanding out from there. Let's talk about the key elements of these sites. This is another slide that you'll want to snag it. Take a little screenshot of this slide because the key elements of the site are important. They're very, very simple. You'll probably remember this without even having to do that. But these sites consist of product reviews, curated contents in a story fashion, conversion elements, and we're going to talk about some really interesting conversion elements in just a few moments. And then you're going to let the site dictate what happens next. And that is the secret sauce that I'm going to explain in detail in part number 3. Part number 2. Let's get into the how-to of this. I mean, that's what you're all here for. How long has it taken me to go through the 18 minutes just to get through the first part? So let's talk about the how-tos. This is what you're interested in. So you've seen the overview. Now let's talk about how to build one from scratch. So first of all, what's working in 2013 from an SEO standpoint as dictated by searchmetrics.com, which also happens to be one of the quote unquote authorities in the SEO space. What I will say here is that those who I've shared earlier versions of the system with and myself have known this for a very long time. So I love it when data comes out to at least somewhat validate outside of practical validation that we see every day. I love it that these guys have come out and said everything that we've been doing. Keyword domains and keyword links have lost relevance. Yep, they sure have. Brands are the exception to many rules. Well, of course, if you're focused on a brand term and that is your keyword, well, it's just stands to reason it's going to do well. Social signals continue to correlate very well with better rankings, and yes, we have a very specific place for that in our system. Good content is always important. It comes to quality. Look, I'm going to say this now, and I have been the king of spam for many, many years. Scraped content was my neighbor. It's not anymore. Everything is quality. Get that through your head at this point in time. Anybody that wants to sell you a tool that is non-readable, adds no value to somebody else's life, just say no. Just say no. I mean, yes, there is a place in tricking the search engines, and you can still do it every single day of the week, but we are not about tricking anymore. We're about longevity and money making. You know what? Here's an analogy that I want to place on this. You can build a site, you can build a $1 a day site with scraped content, and that is fine for many people. And more power to you, rock on. Or you could build a site and spend a little more time on it with the NNTS way and generate $20,000 a month. That's a little bit more than $1 a day, just a little bit. And the value that you're adding to somebody else's life is, in some cases, quite immense because they are turning to you as the new authority. Okay, that's my little rant on that. Okay, and the number of backlinks remains immensely important. Well, yeah, you know what? Despite what anybody else is going to say, and I love the fact that they've come out and said it, backlinks are still over half of the equation. Still over half the equation. That has never changed. That is still half of the equation. And I would hate to see any SEO guy out there that would argue with me on that one because they simply don't know what they're talking about if they say otherwise. And then on-page technology remains one of the basics. You know what? I'm going to tell you something that worked in 1998 that still works today. the title and description of your website. You get that right, you get a lot right. You could mess up a lot of the content on your site from an SEO standpoint, but you get the title right, you get the description right, you're going to do pretty well. Domains, again, brandable, no exact match domains, resource, yourcheapdomains.com. If you're looking for a great place to go register your domains, go register it there. I say that because that's where I get all mine. Examples of what to do. Now, mind you, I don't know if these are real websites. I actually came up with these off the top of my head without much thought. I haven't visited these websites, so hopefully they're not cloak sites to anything highly inappropriate. I just don't know because I haven't visited them. But let's just talk about what I would consider to be pretty good domains. Fitnessfanatic.com, PilatesBlackBook.com. I got this from a buddy of mine. He's the big Black Book guy. I love that brand. I just think Black Book is awesome. LowCarbDude.com. What if you're building a whole paleo business? Well, LowCarbDude.com is a pretty brandable name in my opinion. And then healthandfitnessnews.com. I love news. I just like news sites. There's a level of authority already built into that name. Let's talk about examples of what not to do. First of all, I am not affiliated with MuscleMax. I have no idea if they even have an affiliate program. For some reason, and it must have been in my subconscious when I developed the slide, I must have recently seen a MuscleMax ad somewhere. But here are examples of not so great domains. MuscleMax Review, MuscleMax Scam, and MuscleMaxIngredients.coms. I do want to give a caveat to this. While I say that these are examples of what not to do, I am not saying that these are examples of what doesn't work. That is two completely different things. You can still get MuscleMaxReview.com, throw up some scraped content, and make $1 a day. That's absolutely fine, and more power to you if you want to do that. Or you can go with one of the more brandable names, and stick around for quite a bit longer. Now, another SEO factor not widely reported is the speed of your site. And I'm going to make this into a duh moment here in just a moment. For instance, you go visit your favorite website and it takes, I don't know, more than 2 or 3 seconds to load. What do? You'll probably leave because you're tired of waiting. We're in an instant age. Everything has to be instantaneous. If your site is slow, people are leaving. People are leaving, they're not visiting. And they're not visiting and clicking around on your site, you're not getting the additional SEO love. So it only stands to reason that a faster site, one that actually comes up and one that actually can deliver content in a timely and quick fashion, is one that's going to be rewarded with little brownie points. So speed of site is big. Hosting is vitally, vitally important. Choose a fast and reliable host. And I'm going to go on the record, and I'm going to really probably make some people mad. I know that there are a couple of people on this call that own hosting companies. I know them personally. I will tell you this: don't go with a shared host. If you can afford it, and you will be able to afford it at some point in time with these sites, go with a dedicated server. In my opinion, that's the only way to go. And if you have a dedicated server, you can put the 10 to 20 sites on it. Now, as the sites begin to expand in traffic and get upwards of 5,000, 10,000 unique visitors a day, then you can break those off into their own dedicated servers. Realize this, a $310 a month dedicated server is peanuts compared to what you're making daily from this stuff. So it's a needed expense. It's a necessary expense. Get it through. On your piece of paper right now, just say this is important and stick to that, because that's one of my hard and fast rules. Now, I want to tell you this. At the end of this presentation, I have vetted out a lot of companies, from my hosting companies to the domain companies to you name it, and a lot of other resources that will be quite relevant throughout this presentation. At the end of this, I'm going to give you a page that has all of my recommended resources on it. You'll just need to go to that page if you want any of them. And I have to tell you this. Yes, I am making an affiliate commission from those, and most of them I have negotiated a better deal than if you went direct to the site. So yeah, that's a little plug, but I think we're okay with that. Let's jump into part 3. As you can see from the mind map in front of you right now, this is an extensive section. This is the site building phase of the no-name traffic system. There is a lot to cover in this. So if you want to really take notes feverishly, or if you can take notes feverishly, this is the point to do it. If you have your screen capture software out, this is where you really want to start paying attention. This is the biggest and most important section. If this was the only part of the presentation that you listened to, then you would be armed with enough information to make this highly effective. This is the 80%. Site infrastructure. The reality is that you can use anything. I mean, you can. It doesn't really matter what infrastructure that you use as long as the code is clean and fast. I use WordPress, but and I use that because of its flexibility. It has a massive amount of plugins that you can use to make WordPress do anything that you want, and it has tons of skins or themes that you can skin your site any way that you so desire. The one thing that you have to watch out for with WordPress is that certain plugins can really drag down the resources of and slow the site down. And going back to site speed, we have to be very careful with that. And if the code, the theme that you're using is what I call a dirty theme, has tons of validation errors, then stay away from it. You know, the standard themes like Thesis or Genesis or I don't know if there's several other, anything from Woo themes I like. Those are the types of themes that are fast. Free themes will oftentimes get you in trouble. They'll inject links in there that you aren't aware of, as well as add. They oftentimes do all sorts of trickery, which I just don't really care for. Okay, let's talk about reviews, because I told you earlier and have alluded to it several times in this presentation up to this point that reviews are everything. The money in these no-name traffic system sites are created by reviews, and up to this point, nobody would argue that reviews are effective. But I will also say that very few people do reviews like I do reviews and add the additional elements to the reviews to make them convert even better. So if you get this right, you can screw up just about anything else. So let's just talk a little bit more about the elements of a review. These are the elements of a basic review. We'll talk about some advanced stuff in a moment. My reviews are all 1,000+ words. They have an intro, they have a warm-up, they have a pro section and a cons section, and a close, which is the main call to action. Now, why would we use cons in a review that we're trying to sell something? Because it establishes trust. Think about this for a second. You visit an article or a review, depending on whatever it is, and it's all praise, praise, praise. Oftentimes there's that little thing that sits in the back of your mind that says, man, it's obvious you're just trying to make money off of this. But if they go so far as to say, you know what, this is a good product, we've tried it, there are some pros to it, but here are some cons that you do have to be aware of if you're going to use this. Now trust is taken to another level. So this is a very, outside of the close, which is the most important part, the cons are quite, obviously followed by the pros. They're quite effective in establishing trust because now it looks like an unbiased review. And it's great if you could legitimately give them an unbiased review, by the way. Multiple images, a video, and multiple calls to action with contextual and standalone links. Let's talk about taking a review to the next level. I call this dropping bombs because this is what you're seeing on here right now. 5 elements of a review that very, very, very few people do. This is where the money is made, in my opinion. So be very, very, this is take a screenshot of this. This is one of those slides that you absolutely want to take a screenshot of. Let's talk about these: interruption marketing, retargeting, list segmentation, dedicated email sequences, and the use of TrustJacker. Again, TrustJacker itself will slow down your site. It has on all of mine. So install it on a subdomain, and we use TrustJacker, and we'll get into that. I'll tell you all about that in a few moments. Interruption marketing. While a review is powerful in itself, one of the most effective ways to increase conversions is to interrupt the visitor by offering a discount or other special promotion if they click through to your link. Here is an example of interruption marketing. So somebody hits this page, boom, 21-day rapid fat loss plan, step-by-step what to do. Next page, they click that, they go off to the offer, I'm cookied, boom, I've made some money, chances are. Retargeting. This is also called the invisible list. This is an incredible way to get people back to your site, or I should have said back to the offer. So basically, it's very, very simple in how it works, and I'll give you a couple resources to go at least check out. As a matter of fact, I'll give you those resources first. Go to perfectaudience.com/tour, T-O-U-R. I'm from Texas. Some of the things that I say have a little bit of a draw to them or a little bit of a slang to it. So perfectaudience.com/tour. It breaks up retargeting in about 5 screenshots. While most people are scared of retargeting, I say learn it now and use it. Now, why? Because it's going away. As browsers progress in their technologies, they are doing more and more to block any kind of cookies, pixels, anything in the browser itself. But right now, retargeting is an absolute gold mine. If you're not using it right now, you are doing yourself a disservice. Somebody hits your site, a pixel drops, you have the ability to follow up via banners and a progression of banners that brings people back to your offer. You hopefully have pre-sold them somewhat with your review. Now you're pre-selling them even further with simply classified ad style banners that bring people back to an offer. This is very, very powerful and really subject of entire courses. So I'm not going to get too far into this. If you go to perfectaudience.com/tour, they do a very nice job of explaining retargeting in about a minute. List segmentation. A lot of people don't do this simply because it's a lot of work. And I will tell you that once, I'm going to skip ahead for just a second because it's quite relevant to this topic. I think later in the presentation, I just used the standard 80-20 rule, but I'll go out on a limb and say it's more like the 95-5 rule. 95% of your reviews won't make you any money, but 5% will make you a whole lot of cash. They will get the rankings, they will get the eyeballs, they'll do just a little bit of mojos just perfectly right on those reviews, and people will click through to the offer, and people will buy because you pre-sold them well enough. Now, here is something to add a little bit of extra mojo to that 5%, and that is developing lists based on your review. Now, also later in the presentation, I'm going to tell you that you need to build a list on all of your sites because you're going to be using, recycled traffic to get people back to your site and using, dedicated promotions to get people off to your offers. I'm going to tell you that later. But I need to also tell you right now that doing list segmentation on a per review basis is one of the single biggest bumps in conversions that you will get. You create a special offers related to the product that you're promoting, you get people on to that list, and then you hit them with about 12 emails over a period of 12 days. They will either unsubscribe or they will buy, or they'll ignore you if you suck, and hopefully you don't suck. So the idea is to be in their face, establish some trust. You can pull testimonials off the product page itself. You can pull bullets off the product review page itself to use in your email sequence. Do this. Just do it. It is time consuming. It is a hassle, and you're not going to want to do it. But just like walking the dog in the afternoon when you're tired, you just have to suck it up and get it done. So that is what this is. This is the walking the dog section. And then, of course, dedicated email sequences that really feed into that last slide. When you create a review, then follow, build a list dedicated to that review. Deliver a follow-up sequence that assists the reader of your review in making a buying decision for that product. Shoot for 7 to 12 emails in your sequence. Include proof, testimonials, and how to increase the effectiveness of the product emails. Let's talk about this because we've already talked about how to get proof. You're simply swiping the testimonials from the product that you're promoting. So that's a lot of the proof elements. But let's talk about how to increase the effectiveness. If you can add value to the product up front, it only seems to reason that if you can then create those synapses in somebody's mind that this works even better with your little suggestion, but they need that product to fill in the gaps. Well, it only stands to reason that they're going to be more likely to go pick up that product. So let's just say in this example that we're promoting a supplement. And anybody that's in the health world understands that there are certain ingredients that can almost triple, if not quadruple, the effectiveness of most supplements, magnesium being one of those supplements. So add it to any other supplement if it's not already in that supplement. and if it doesn't have, a negative effect on that supplement. So make sure you do your research first in this. But just for an example's sake, we tell somebody in an email, hey, look, I've discovered a way to, triple the effectiveness of, Muscle Max. Here's how to do it. And this is what I found, and here are the resources that I found that, that show its effectiveness. And then you simply footnote that with obviously a lot of order links. So that is it's very, very powerful stuff, and something that I hope you take to heart. Okay, now let's talk about TrustJacker, because I guess I've been the black hat guy for a long time. Uh, I'm trying to break that, persona, but in every one of my training presentations, I have to put something sneaky in there, something that's just kind of fun. It gives you that, oh man, it has that bad boy appeal to it. And that's what TrustJacker is. TrustJacker is the bad boy of making money, because you have the ability to, first of all, we're going to be masking all of our affiliate links. We're not going to be using direct affiliate links in any of our reviews. And in the past, I've used a little plugin called Pretty Links. It's worked extraordinarily well. It gave me a nice, pretty URL, domain.com/whatever I choose. Well, TrustJacker gives me the exact same thing. The difference being is that TrustJacker also allows me to do more with that link than just send somebody off to my affiliate offer. For instance, say I have created a segmented list, and say they didn't necessarily opt into my list right then and there, but they did click a link on my review to go off to the product to investigate that product. But they just didn't buy for whatever reason. They just got to the sales page and did not buy and left the sales page. If I use a TrustJacker link, I then pop up on exit my opt-in form again. Well, now can you see the effectiveness of this? They didn't opt in on my review, but they did click a link to my review. They checked out the product, but didn't necessarily buy the product. They left the product page. So now I have yet another opportunity to get them onto my segmented list. And I do that through the use of TrustJacker. And mind you, wait till the end of this presentation before you get all excited and go off and buy TrustJacker, because I have gotten a special deal for you. It's on the resources page at the end. Again, speed to implementation. I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again. If you were to worry about every element that I just covered, you will likely never get a review published. Start with the basics and then monitor over time, see which ones are working, and then start adding in the additional conversion elements. Don't worry about the advanced stuff until your review is posted and proven to be a winner. The reality, and this is where the numbers, let's just substitute 80 to 90% with 95% won't do anything, because that's probably the closer reality of it. 95% won't do anything, 5% will. But getting reviews published is the key, and monitoring the effectiveness of those reviews is critical, then rolling out the advanced conversion elements. There are two types of reviews that I want to cover here, because one is obvious and the other is not. And chances are you've never heard of a topical review. So we're going to cover that in just a moment. I have been talking about product jacking. We used to do it through our press release course. We've done it through YouTube videos. We've done it through a plethora of different press release services. We have just basically jacked a lot of brands and made a lot of money in that process. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. These reviews are of products known to have a large advertising budget. It's a natural search pattern for somebody looking to look for a review of a product prior to buying it. We want to inject our review into that process. So let me just paint a little picture for you. While I do not endorse in any way, shape, or form the product Sensa, it is a very, very popular weight loss supplement. And I have no idea why, but it is. They spend an enormous amount of money on online and offline media. Because there is an enormous amount of branding taking place, what I am doing is simply injecting myself into the natural buying cycle that somebody would have when they see a commercial or see an advertisement online, say a banner of Sensa. They didn't get quite enough information from that banner or the commercial or the infomercial and they need additional help in buying it. That's where my review comes in. So my strategy is to simply inject my review there. And so they see it, they read it, they click through it. And yes, I am, I don't want to use the word stealing money because I'm not. I'm educating the customer even further to make the buying decision that they may not have necessarily had previous to me. So that's my place. My place is to product jack these brands. It just so happens that with these no-name traffic system sites, our SEO is just a whole heck of a lot better than anybody else's, in my opinion. And we're able to take over in many cases, and this has created a little bit of controversy in the past. We've taken over the brands of companies inadvertently. They've contacted me out of the blue, and I simply say, "Hey, look, I don't develop Google's algorithm. Why don't you just, either do a better job of ranking your site or hire me? One of the two for a lot of money." So you can jack the product names. You know what? There's a caveat to that. You will be noticed if you take over somebody's brand. Just be aware of that. But what I do, and I do this one quite well, is I optimize for product review, product reviews, buy product, and then these last three, the product coupon, product promo code, and product discount are only appropriate if you can actually back those up. But if you can, those are your three most effective buying terms, followed by product reviews and buy product, and obviously product review. I actually put product review and reviews there because they do come across as two different and completely different searches for some strange reason. Let's talk about the one you may not be familiar with, and that's topic reviews. These are reviews of products in our market that don't have high visibility, meaning they have no advertising budget to speak of. So ranking for their names just really doesn't make sense. If I did xyzreview.com and XYZ Review didn't have any advertising budget, nobody would ever even know to look for it. So in these cases, we want to rank for keywords related to the product. In these examples, we would use things like skincare reviews, what's the best skincare product, things like that. But it doesn't really make sense to use those keywords in our review or our titles for the most part either. So how do we get around that? Well, this is where the advanced silo structure, and a lot of people have heard of silo structure, and most people make it out to be some kind of voodoo, and maybe it is a little bit of voodoo, and maybe I'm just a magician that knows how to understand this voodoo, but I'm going to be the magician that really explains it well to you here on one slide, because this is as simple as it gets, and I'm going to tell you how to do it here right now. Here is a review page silo structure. I don't see anybody doing this. And mind you, we're not talking about a single product review site. We're talking about a site that may have 50 product reviews on it. Half of them are topical reviews, and those topical reviews will each have this structure associated with it. So it doesn't matter how many articles you have. You can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is you're using keywords that are most appropriate to get traffic to that review. That is key number one. And those keywords have to be topical in nature, meaning that they all have to relate. I'm not going to go off and start using words like semantics or anything like that, simply because it's over most people. While you'll nod your head, oh yeah, I understand what that means. Most people don't. I didn't at first, until of course I nodded my head enough times that I actually looked it up. But the reality is, as long as they're related terms and they make sense when used together, and if it passes that filter, that's generally good enough. So just stick to that. It's very, very simple and not as complicated as it sounds. But let's talk about the structure of this. Article 1 will link to Article 2, link to Article number 3, and link to Article number 4. Oh, by the way, take a screenshot of this page. It's crucial that you get this right, because you kind of screw this up and it won't be quite as effective. In each article page, we'll review to the review page. Each article page will also be a child of the review page, and the review will be a page on a WordPress site. That's a lot to take in. There's a great chance when this replay comes out that you'll need to listen to this piece again. But if you understood what I just said, boom, I just said it all in a minute, and hopefully you got that. All of our external linking to these particular reviews will simply go to the article pages themselves, and I'll explain exactly how to do all the linking later on in this presentation. And I will tell you, I don't think anybody's made the linking patterns as clear as I have in this. And not to brag, but it is really simple. Silos explained. Here is a verbal or a written out way to describe this. We will have as many pages to support the theme as appropriate. Each page will focus on one keyword. Page 1 links to 2, 2 to 3, etc. And all link to the review. The review itself links to none of those pages, and all the external links focused on that review go to each article page. Whew, man, I think I need a little bit of water after talking about all that silo stuff. Okay, thanks. Okay, so who do I recommend write your reviews? Well, you know what? Not to be a big tease, but I do have people that will actually write your review for you. It's not my company, but is the company that I do use, and they write all of my reviews. Incredible, and you'll see who they are in just a few moments too. This is just the next phase of this particular mind map. We're going to get into this now. Curation. Curation is the hot, but oh my gosh, so many people. Curation this, curation that. Let's build software that curates, and let's throw curation in the clouds, and let's just do all this crazy curation. Curated videos. You name it, somebody's tried to monetize this concept somehow, and quite frankly, it's nothing new. It's been around forever. It is a sexy term simply because of a few people like me started using it about 5 years ago, and quite frankly, this is about as simple of a concept as you can possibly get. But there is a twist, and it's a twist that's always been there, but yet it's one that I see very few people do. But I'm going to explain it to you now because it makes this immensely more effective. So while the reviews make you money, curation gives Google what it wants, which is the unique, topical, and relevant content. So, what comes next in this presentation is evolutionary. This is how content evolves and will never be the subject of you'll never be the subject of a Google slap based on content alone. This requires monitoring and some skills, and you will be armed. This is so when I made this presentation, this was the one section that I wanted to leave out. But the reality is that this is training, and you need to know this. This is really where it all comes down. Before I get into that, I do want to tell you how a curated post should be structured. It should be structured as a unique story augmented by data or information, news, whatever it is, that simply backs up that story and makes it more effective, adds a proof and trust element to that story. You're not copying, pasting somebody else's content. You're not copying and pasting somebody else's copywritten content. You're simply using snippets of their content to back up what you are writing. And that is the big change when it comes to curation. In the past, and I am 100% guilty of this, I will call it out, call it on myself. I used to say if you wrote an intro, an outro, and then copied a whole lot of content in the middle, that was good enough. That's not good enough, and that's not July 2013. What is good enough in 2013 is having a completely unique, written, topical, relevant article that's simply backed up by other people's data that reinforces what you're talking about. For instance, and while this is very, very controversial, and I have no opinions on it one way or the other because it doesn't affect my life at all, but let's look at this George Zimmerman case here recently. It has been the talk of every news cycle all over the place, and depending on when you're listening to this review, hopefully it's a gone news cycle by then. But right now, it's hot and relevant, and as I do this webinar, it's still all over the place. Well, what if I wrote an article on justices or injustices of the legal system? One way or the other, it doesn't really matter to me. And then I simply use pieces of that case to back up whatever position I was taking in my own article. That is curation. It is not me simply copying and pasting something straight out of whatever news journal that you want to use, and then simply writing one piece of content on top of it saying, hey, I really like this story, go check it out, and then copying and pasting somebody else's work. That is not what I'm talking about here. So I hope I've really illustrated that. So that's really, let's talk about that. Okay, so we're about to get into something that I'll probably need to slow down a little bit on because this is very, very powerful. It's a very powerful concept. Let's talk about where to begin. Our sites are going to begin with one topic and one category with regards to the curation. So, say our topic is bodybuilding, we may have a bodybuilding news section. We're going to talk a little bit about the elements of a curated post. We did the same with our reviews. Our curated stuff is going to be 600 to 1,000 words. We are going to augment with images. We're going to use direct links to news sources. Must be unique article backed by the news, and video is a plus. And that video is oftentimes of you acting as news anchor, either via PowerPoint, Keynote, something along those lines. So here's where the evolution comes in. And this is another slide that I will highly recommend that you screen capture. Curated content must evolve, but let's talk about how. So by analyzing your keyword data monthly, you will see trends form based on what Google believes is the most appropriate for your site. That data will be used to develop the content for the following month. So for instance, say our topic is bodybuilding, and say we have been following Google alerts and whatever else, other news, YouTube, whatever other trending data that we have access to, and that's the content that we've been writing on. But then each month, say on the first of each month, we begin to either analyze our Google Analytics, and we look at our keyword data in Google Analytics, and we say, hey, wait a second. And I see that our site is getting traffic for all of these keywords, but none of these keywords are what none of these are the topic of any of the sites or any of the content that we're directly writing about. My friends, this is where you're following data. Google is telling you what it believes is relevant for your site, so why not give it what it wants? Simply begin and shift your data, what you're writing about from that point, based on the data that you're already being given. And I'm actually going to give you in just a few moments a much better way than Google Analytics to track that data, because it is very, very effective, and it's like $27. It's unbelievably cheap. It's highly effective, and it's actually what I do, and I'll show you a screenshot of it in a few moments. So this is the evolution. This will dictate new site topics, thus leading to new categories and evolving content. Google is telling you via the search data what you should write about. Anybody that follows me or is in any of my mastermind groups or reads any of my articles knows that this has been how we have structured our linking patterns for the last couple of years. Our linking patterns, our external linking patterns into our sites change monthly. They evolve monthly based on keyword data. We're simply, and this is really about a year-old concept, if we shifted our focus from just using the external data from our linking patterns to now our data patterns, are what we're writing about, how our content evolves, how our site morphs into what Google, the search engine that's given us the bulk of our traffic, thinks we're most relevant about. That is a powerful concept. Let's talk about the initial category structure for a new site. So every new site is going to have a category structure, and it needs to be more than one category, which is that curated category. So we're going to have our featured section. This is where the majority of our reviews are going to go. We may even have a review section. We're going to have a breaking news section. This is going to be our curated content that is relevant right now. We're going to have a video section because we're going to talk about how videos and the use of a very specific video sitemap not only enhances your listing in Google by giving it a thumbnail, but also gets you more traffic, because the more image rich, the more call to action based your title and description are, the more clicks you're going to get, even if you're not in the top 3 positions. So say you're in position number 6, but your listing stands out much more than listing number 2 or even number 1, there's a good chance you'll get more clicks. So we're going to be utilizing that and taking advantage of that. And then our main curated category, like we just said, bodybuilding news, and then podcast. Let's talk about podcast for a second. This is not a new concept whatsoever. I have done probably, 100 podcasts over the years and never really got this, what I'm about to tell you, until somewhat recently. Podcasts are an awesome traffic source. If you do these correctly, iTunes can give you a direct line of traffic that in many cases will double the organic traffic that you're getting from the site. Now, here's the downfalls of the podcast, because if you're building out a no-name traffic system site and it's more of a secondary income, or a topic that you're not necessarily passionate about, or one that you may not have contacts in, then podcasts may not make sense, because you really do have to put yourself out there. You really do have to record content with people. You have to interview them for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes in most cases, sometimes an hour. And then you have to take the additional steps of actually publishing it. It's a lot of work. But if you were so inclined to do it, you could double the traffic to your site. Big deal. Video posts. Curating from YouTube is valuable if you know this secret, and I've already revealed the secret, so it's not that big of a secret right now to you. And that's the video sitemaps. And the company that I use, and it's only this video sitemap, mind you. I have tried multiple video sitemaps. This is the only one that gives you YouTube thumbnails in your listings, and it's the Yoast SEO is the name of the company, and that is the plugin that I use. It's the Yoast SEO plugin that's my SEO plugin that I use. They have a video sitemap add-on that will pick up YouTube videos. So if you just put a YouTube video to enhance your review or your curated post, it will pick that up, and then your listing in Google will have a thumbnail of somebody else's, in many cases, YouTube video or your own to enhance your listing, thus giving you higher click-throughs. Creating your title and description. This is a good time to talk about the structure of your post and your titles and descriptions. Structuring your title and description. Get this right, you'll get more clicks. And I'm going to say one word to you: curiosity. Anybody that's studied copywriting for any length of time understands the power of curiosity. If you can create a sense of curiosity in somebody, they will visit your whatever it is that you're asking them to visit. It is one of the most powerful motivators out there, outside of a few obvious ones. It is an extremely powerful motivator. So this is how I structure my titles: keyword, question; description, keyword, call to action. So let me see. For example, force factor. Force factor review. Pros, cons. Is force factor safe? Well, if you're going to take force factor, you want to know if it's safe. Unfortunately, we only have so much room in our title, but yet we do want to get our primary keyword in, and we want to create whatever sense of curiosity that we can create in as short of a space as we can. Description, force factor review. Before taking force factor, read our review and discover what we found out about this supplement. What in the world did they find out about this supplement, you might ask? Well, I don't know. I don't take force factor, but it was, it's a pretty compelling description. Final content types: how to and list. How to and list contents are powerful traffic magnets and often lead to increased time on site and social sharing. Well, let's talk about that. 3 ways to increase your biceps in 2 easy steps. Or I guess that makes no sense. 3 ways to increase your biceps in less than 20 minutes in the gym. That is a list. How to is something else, and I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head. How to increase your IQ by 20 points by taking 1 supplement, and then you write articles on that, and those become your titles. How to increase your IQ by 20 points. Well, if you have some type of site on cognitive function, that might be very appealing. If you have a bodybuilding site, how to double your muscles and double your fat loss in half the time, if that even makes sense, but you get the idea. Okay, that's the end of part 3. That was the big piece, and there were a couple of aha moments. So let me just do a quick recap of those aha moments. 1, and I cannot stress this enough: let your data dictate the future of your site. That right there can be an entire course, and probably well worth whatever somebody is paying for that course, because if you get that concept, your site never becomes stale and is always fresh, because you're simply following the data. If you do paid advertising, this makes complete sense. We're simply taking that concept over to SEO. Part 4, we're going to talk about external promotion, and I do need a quick drink. Boy, I say about this many words in one day, and I'm saying it here in, how long have we gone? 1 hour. So yeah, I've spoken more in 1 hour than I usually speak all day, so forgive me. External promotion. Linking is still king when it comes to ranking. In this section, I will explain what works right now and that's effective and safe. But first, a major aha moment. Just like our content, Our linking is dynamic in nature. It's changing monthly as the site changes, sometimes and more often than not, completely. So the keywords that we're attempting to rank for this month may change completely the next month based on the data that Google is giving us. Now, let me explain. Each month, Google will rank us for keywords that we didn't intend on them ranking us for. These keywords not only dictate future content, but also future linking patterns. I spend the first part of each month reviewing my keywords and restructuring my entire campaign based on that data. Data is king. You know what? Screenshot this, post it on your wall, remember it, because this right here, content's not king, data's king. With data, even bad data, you can make better decisions. The how-to. Each of our content types requires a different style of linking. Reviews are keyword driven, and curation, articles, videos, and how-tos are generally social driven. Reviews, your initial keyword list for product is going to be the product name review, product name reviews, and by product name. We've already talked about this. The exception are topical reviews, and we'll cover how to structure those. Data, each month as you review your keyword data, you will find terms that you didn't optimize for. Simply add those to your favorite linking system along with your seed list. Shameless plug. I use a couple linking systems that are very powerful. They're on the resources page, which you'll get at the end of this presentation. First line of linking. I begin all review linking with a very powerful buffer system. There's a company that I use that makes this incredibly effective. They too are listed on the resources page, but let's talk about buffer networks because you don't need to use a company to do this if you don't want to. So a buffer network, there's several companies selling auto-created buffer networks. There's software like SE Nuke and Backlink Monster. They all will create buffer networks. The key is no direct links in the beginning. The key is 100% buffer network, meaning that you're going to have a few key Web 2.0 properties that are pointing to your site, and you're going to have thousands of other properties pointing to that layer of Web 2.0 properties that then link directly to your site. That is the first 30 days of your linking pattern. It is safe, it's effective, and it's safe. I mean, I know I said that already, but that's key. So you're going to wait 30 days. You're not going to do anything. Once you initiate that buffer into your reviews, you're not going to do anything for 30 days. This is hard, and this is where you have to get out of yourself. But this powerful buffer will work its magic. The content will be indexed, and initial seed keywords will begin to expand as Google determines what that review really should rank for. And oftentimes, it's not what you think. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. Okay, keys to structuring your Link Emperor campaign. Okay, so I'm giving up the goods on this one. This is on the resource page. Keys to structuring your Link Emperor campaign. Each topic in your site should be a different campaign. And mind you, until you get into Link Emperor, this might not make sense. So just simply take a screenshot of this. If you choose to use Link Emperor, I do have a special deal for you on the resources page. So by all means, just take a screenshot of this because it will make complete sense when you get into the system. Your link structure should be 100% buffer in the beginning, then gradually decrease slightly each month, meaning that each month, as your site matures, you're allowed to add more direct links to your site. And also, don't allow them to use questionable links. We want to stay out of bad neighborhoods as often as possible. Also, one of the other big benefits of Link Emperor, and really the main reason why I use them, is they randomize our links. So while I may specify 5 or 10 keywords to rank for, realistically, only maybe 5 or 10% of the actual links that are being delivered are with those keywords. The rest are nonsensical terms in many cases. So let's talk about how to structure all other types of content. Well, I use Link Emperor for these as well. Now, content pages, curation pages are 100% social. I generally, and it would be a very rare occasion and had to be something very special before I actually did it, but it's all going to be bookmarks and social sites linking to my curation pages. Now, why is that? Because that's an obvious question. So my curation page lends itself to current trends generally, or current news items. It only makes sense to see that these are going to be more shareable, and oftentimes makes no sense to rank individual keywords for these pages because the data cycle or the news cycle oftentimes ends very quickly with these types of pages. So we're simply focused on the social nature of these pages to instigate, to promote more activity on the social networks with these things. So the secret sauce. Now, why you can use Google Analytics, which is 100% free to find your search keywords. I use a very inexpensive WordPress plugin called Rank Tracker. Again, I've got a special deal for you on that. This is what it looks like. On the left-hand side, you'll see all the keywords. You'll see how many visits you get. You'll see the actual URLs. Now, let me tell you why I use Rank Tracker over Google Analytics. Google Analytics is the big boy, but I'll tell you one thing, in analyzing my data for years through Google Analytics, is they miss a lot. And we're talking about upwards based on, because I'll oftentimes use 2 tracking systems, I'll have up to 20% data loss through Google Analytics. Some people may argue with me on that, and some people may call me an idiot. That's what I have seen time and time again. So from a tracking standpoint, I think Google Analytics, while it's free, is good enough. And there are other functions such as conversion tracking, which is much better done in Google Analytics than my keyword data. So this is how I get my keyword data. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit of SEO snobbery. Now I run around, most of my friends are SEO snobs, and I say that in the kindest of ways because I guess I am too. The old rule, 50% of links it used to come into your homepage with 50% being random links internally. The new rule, focus linking on pages to get traffic already. They are getting traffic for a reason. Less than 10% goes to the root domain, but it still needs some links, okay? That is important. And then the randomized linking pattern. Don't use all your keywords as anchor text. That's why I use Link Emperor. But if you're using any other system, and any other system might be fine, until it's vetted out, I can't say for sure. But you know, if you're focused with using other systems, just make sure that the links coming into your site are randomized. Part 5. Tips, tricks, and things you need to understand. So we've covered the system up to this point. There are a few things that just didn't make sense to add to the rest of this presentation. So I did create a part 5, and this is everything that didn't necessarily fit anywhere else in this presentation. Now I've been intentional about integrating many of the tips and tricks throughout this presentation. The next few slides will review what just didn't fit anywhere else, but still things that you need to know. Press releases. I just love press releases. I have loved them for a very long time. Quick story, there was a campaign that I ran for a skincare company using a sequential series of press releases, each press release built upon itself. And we generated over 40,000 leads for that skincare company. That, my friends, is the power of the press. Because once you start building up a release that builds up on the previous release, that builds up on the previous release, you start getting noticed. And then, of course, editors start to call and you get media, additional media. That's the power of press releases. There wasn't necessarily a place in this presentation to talk about that made sense. So here it is. The company that I use now is sbwire.com. I no longer use prweb.com or Vocus, and let me tell you why. I do not like hardcore salesmen, and that's all those companies are. The effectiveness of those campaigns started to dwindle quickly. They would do nothing about it, yet they still wanted to charge an arm and a leg every single year to renew contracts with them. I've ditched them. I couldn't stand that anymore. I thought that was just disgusting. sbwire.com is where I go now. I have a few other sources that I use, but the one that you want to stick with right now is sbwire.com. I use PR on or with reviews that are making you money, or on curated content that's being shared naturally. So I would never use, at this point in time, a press release on content that has no traction. You can use a press release to initiate traction, but I find it to be more valuable myself to use it on content that already has some traction. You're simply looking to boost that traction. Rankings can go stale. I've seen top ranking pages drop from number 1 to number 13 with no changes at all. Now, I do expect this to happen once I obtain that spot. Most last in a top position for about upwards of about 12 weeks. This is something fairly new over the last year with Google, and something that not a lot of people are addressing. The reality is that it's wonderful to have a top spot, but if you are not constantly evolving your site as I've directed through this presentation, and you're very static about what you want to rank for, once you achieve that spot, you're only going to get it for about maybe 3 months. Also, sites can go stale. This is another one that you have to be on watch out for. Now realize there is a solution to this, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second. I've seen sites go stale around the 8 to 10 month mark. This occurs when about 75% of the rankings drop for no reason. And I found a way to combat this that's easier than you may think, and I'm going to just tell you. So here's how to recover pages and sites that drop. And this doesn't work all the time. I know a few people claim to have a 100% Google recovery rate. I'll leave my opinions about that alone. But I will tell you that if you change the title and descriptions, more often than not, it has a much bigger impact than you would believe. And I only say that through personal experience. And you can pull back on your direct linking. If you're at a stage in your site where you're doing more direct linking than buffer, then pull your direct linking back and stick to the buffers for a couple months. And then change the site design. This is an interesting one. And so I had a couple sites that were penalized. Change the site, just the structure of the site, the design of the site, and boom, you know what happened? They came right back. It was fresh, it was new, it looked good, cleaner code. Again, goes back to speed. It was faster. Just really, really top-notch stuff. Now, this stuff worked the majority of the time. Now, while I could give you a made-up number, 93.2%, but if the tweaks are used, they'll recover most of the time. I just love it when these guys have no validity to the numbers that they're using, and they'll just throw out 99% of the time. Really? Tell me, how do you come up with that? Okay, now I hope you found this information valuable. What you've just watched has made me a lot of money, and I hope that one way or the other you implement this quickly. Let's do a recap because this is important. Action steps. This is what you should do today while it's fresh in your mind. Register a domain and get your hosting. Set up and configure your site, your theme, your graphics, your categories, and your plugins. Find products to review that are in your industry. Write or order those reviews. Write, find, or order curated content, videos, and how-to articles. Set up your linking, monitor, and adjust monthly. It should take you a week to get these sites set up. It should take you, each month you should just review the site. If you outsource this stuff, there's very, very little work involved with it. So let me tell you the selfish reason why I showed you this entire system. And I've left no stone left unturned. I've revealed things to you that I was uncomfortable sharing with you, really with anybody. Such as the evolving, using data to evolve your site's content without using my emotions, but letting the actual data dictate that. I am scaling up my business and building actually several more of these sites. And after seeing how powerful the no-name traffic system is, you may be considering building one yourself, which I totally encourage you to go out and do. But time may be limited. And if that is true, you have more money than time, then by all means go to partnerwithkeith.com. Just go there. You and I can partner up on some sites. You can utilize my knowledge, my team, and then I have a very interesting offer, which I'm not going to get into. This isn't a sales presentation. This is a training presentation. You'll go there. You'll see exactly what partnerwithkeith.com is all about. By all means, go through it. Let me just tell you a couple. I did this little partner thing with some guys a while back, and this first testimonial here was, and I told you about this, the gold market early on, $3,000, $3,000 for that in the first month. Here's, Greg, he said, Keith is a smart guy, but not smart when it comes to valuing his services. My partner fee was free, and you'll understand what that's all about at partnerwithkeith.com. The second income is about to pass my primary income. We're in the alternative health market. If you have a chance, do it. And if you have an interest in partnering with me or having a distinct advantage over others building NNTS sites, then visit the following URL and fill out the form, and you will understand what this is all about. The fee is much lower than you would expect. Unlike some of these guys that tell you to go out and fill applications but expect to have a whole lot of money in your pocket, I'm taking the opposite approach. It's free to everyone at a certain point, and you'll understand that. And every single site, every single one that I build has had a positive ROI. That's partnerwithkeith.com. Janice, she was skeptical. She was skeptical of the offer the first time she saw it, but she took the plunge. She trusts me, she doesn't regret it now. Okay, resources mentioned in this presentation can also be found there. If you go to partnerwithkeith.com, underneath the form, you will see all of my recommended resources. The most valuable, in my opinion, are two, which I will reveal to you right now. That's my review writer and that's my curation writer. I'm making them both available to you. Chances are you haven't seen them before. Very reasonable rates, and they are awesome. Also, I also want to tell you in the linking section, I talked about buffer networks. This is a bombshell that I'm about to drop. The Giza Pyramid from linkitpro.com, and I have a special for you on that. If you click the URL on partnerwithkeith.com, you'll see, you'll get a special on that. That is the most powerful linking system in existence today, and I do not say that lightly. If you use that on a review, you are going to rank that review. It is extraordinarily powerful. So I'm going to leave this up right here, and I am going to take questions. So again, I told you yesterday I did this presentation in 1 hour and 25 minutes. Right now, I did it in 1 hour and 16 minutes. So I even improved the amount of time that this took. So let's talk about questions, because inevitably you're going to have some questions about this. So by all means, ask them, and I will stick around here and just answer them. Brad has asked, will the recording be posted so I can access it? Absolutely, the recording is going to be posted, and it will be posted later this afternoon. You can go to, I'm not sure exactly where. Probably I'll just post it on partnerwithkeith.com. I'll have the video posted there. So, and it'll be above the form. So don't worry. You can just go to partnerwithkeith.com and you will see that. Let's see what other questions we have coming in. Ooh, a lot of them are coming in. Oh, great. So I've been using Giza since day one. Agree, it works like mad. Guys, that is incredibly powerful. Now, I do have to warn you, it's $400. It's not cheap. It's out of some people's budgets, and that's fine. It just means more power for the rest of us. So that's it's awesome stuff. I like it when people price things to a point that it's out of reach for the average Joe. And I know that sounds silly, but it is a competitive thing. So that's something. The link for the writer is the same as the curator writer. Yes, that is the exact same company. They do both my reviews and my writing. What is the last part again? One of the videos started playing while you dropped the last bomb. Sean, that is Linkit Pro's Giza Pyramid. It is the tiered buffer system that is unbelievably powerful. I can't even say that. How much does it cost to partner with you, Keith? Leroy, I'm going to tell you this, and this isn't a sales pitch by any stretch of the imagination, but it's free. And if you go to partnerwithkeith.com, fill out the form. After you fill out the form, you'll be redirected to a 9-minute and 10-second video that will explain it. There is much more to it than that, but that is it in a nutshell. Go watch that 9-minute, 10-second video and see for yourself. And I hate to say that, but when promoting this, I promoted this as a training event, and indeed, I hope you got a lot of value out of it, because I left no stone left unturned. I've told you everything. Okay, the review writer and curation writer links are going to the wrong place. I will have to look at that, but I am willing to bet that they are going to the right place. You may have to click around the site to, let's just go check it out. You know what? I think that's cool. Hey. Let's do things live. I like live. Let's see. Partnerwithkeith.com. Great name. Great place. Okay, here are the resources. So let's click on Curation Writer. Boom. That is the right place. So curated content. That's it. Product reviews. That is where you need to go. So these links are correct. Use them. Here is Rank Tracker. I love this. This plugin is just awesome. Let me just bring it up. I hope they don't have a goofy video that just auto plays, but let's just see. Okay, so this is such a powerful plugin, and it's so cheap. I can't believe he sells that for next to nothing. Okay, all right. What is the link network again called? Here, it's right here. If you go here, click on Linkit Pro, right here. As a matter of fact, let's just click through to that, and I'm going to show you. If you go into Products, Giza Pyramid, click on View Details. This, my friends, Regardless of what you think about long form sales copy, this is all you need to know. Go down to the image. This is the buffer network of all buffer networks. And why theirs works 10 times better than any automated system, I honestly don't know, but they are highly, highly powerful. You know what? It's interesting, Holly, about Gmail changes effectiveness of your list. So, yeah, you're going to go into the promotions folder. So here's a couple ways that I think about this. One, I still check my promotions folder, and I'm willing to bet that most other people check their promotions folder. Will this have an impact on any type of email marketing? Well, not everybody uses Gmail through their interface. There's other people that use all sorts of other things, and I do suspect that people that do use Gmail will continue to click on promotions. Everybody loves to be sold to. I mean, that's the reality. Everybody loves to buy things. Say what you will about it, but you buy things every day. You're being marketed to and sold to everywhere you go. Grocery store, everywhere. And every once in a while, you're going to run across promotions in your promotions folder that is awesome. Well, let's talk about the other side of this, retargeting. Well, retargeting doesn't end up in your promotions folder, not by a long shot. As a matter of fact, you go to CNN.com, and there's a great chance that you're being retargeted from a site that you saw earlier today. So I am not worried about it at this point in time. Maybe it will have an effect on my bottom line at some point, but I think that it's still, I haven't seen a decrease as of yet. I guess longer term data needs to be seen. My gut tells me, which mind you, without numbers, my gut is often wrong. My gut tells me that it won't really have that big of an impact, if at all, really. And heck, it may even be better. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, thank you. Let me just put this URL here because other people are asking for this. I'm just going to put this in the chat. See, I love it when other people are here with me because all this technical stuff gets handled by everybody else. But that's okay. It's no better time to learn. Hey, thanks, Sasso. I appreciate you visiting us today because this content truly is, a lot. There's something else, actually, there's something on the mind map I didn't even tell you on the main presentation. And I can't believe it escaped my mind to even add it, but I'll tell you about it now. Videos. So whenever we identify, and mind you, much of what we do is dictated by what actually works on our site. And as I said, only maybe 5% will actually work on your site. Whenever it does work, the job, not only to add the interruption marketing, the retargeting, the list segmentation, the dedicated follow-up, and all of that type of stuff, this trust tracker links, even though you have all of that stuff, doing external campaigns with press releases, doing external campaigns with YouTube videos, doing external campaigns with Facebook ads, doing external campaigns with any other traffic source. If it's working from SEO, if people are getting there, if people are clicking the link and they're buying the product, something is happening. They're being pre-sold. So a valid split test would be, do I go and create a Facebook ad and send it directly to the offer, which generally always works depending on the offer? Or do I split test that by sending traffic to a very nice converting review as well? I say that's a split test. In some cases it's going to work, in some cases it won't. Again, data dictates what's going to work in that case, and I think that it's highly recommended that you do add that. Troy, no. The presentation will be accessible, but not the mind map or the slides. This is a proprietary presentation that may or may not be used again. And if it is, then I just don't want somebody else taking my content and calling it their own, which is highly likely. It happens often, and you have heard it here first. So at least if it does get ripped off, you all know where it came from first. So, you know what? Actually, Mark, this is interesting you say this. So Mark asked a brilliant question. And will this work for local business lead generation? I'm going to pose a scenario here, and I want you just to sit on this scenario because I think that you'll be able to you will connect the dots. Obviously, it's going to be quite obvious. Say I owned a law firm, and this law firm dealt with a very specific type of claims, whatever, let's call it, personal injury, or even say I owned an auto insurance, business agency or whatever. I sold auto insurance. Actually, let's use this one. I think this is even more appropriate. So my auto insurance agency lives on leads. I cannot function my business without getting new blood in. And how does a no-name traffic system work? Well, there's lots of industry news there, and while we are getting out of necessarily the multiple product side, which is a big component, obviously, that's where the money is. But why can't you have multiple, CPA offers? You could do reviews on that. Not necessarily the best thing. Something that I would do, and I'll just kind of break this all down to you here. One thing that I'm doing right now is there is the same guy that's created TrustJacker created another piece of software called Viral Conversions, and I'm not officially hyping that. I'm still in the process of dealing with it. And he just came out with a new version 3. Rob, the owner of that, is in my SEO mastermind group, and a brilliant guy. And the last mastermind we were talking about this, and I asked him, I said, Rob, give me a scenario as to how to best use this for auto insurance leads, because anybody that's in lead generation understands that there are companies like Brokers Web or SureHits that will pay anywhere from $6 to $10 per click. There are lead generation companies in auto insurance that will pay upwards of $100 on a CPA basis. So how do you get the best qualified lead when the leads have to be good? So one of the things that we're doing is the entire back structure of the site is the curated news, dealing with reviews of multiple companies, but the front end of the site is a funnel generator using Viral Conversions, and I'm simply walking people through a series of micro commitment questions to get them the most qualified offer that I could possibly give them. It's intense work. Anybody that gets Viral Conversions and thinks you're going to set it up in one day is drastically mistaken. And it does require quite a bit of thought and recalibrating the questions as you're creating them, but it allows you to filter down people to the nth degree. Now, how does the NNTS system work with this? Well, you're doing a lot of lead generation by focusing on news from around the world or around the country or around the state or around the city, depending on how much news or what type of lead you're looking for. So that's that. You'll also have reviews of the different lead generation companies, but the funnel itself can simply direct people to the specific reviews that are most appropriate to them. So it's I think it can be used for anything. I think that in some cases, the more micro the market is, we're really getting out of the big health and fitness industry levels type stuff. We're getting into the local business type stuff. I think it requires a little bit of thought, a little bit of calibration, but it's entirely possible. I know that especially if you're doing local business for deep money style companies, law offices, plastic surgeons, or any company that's in lead generation with deep pockets, you're making upwards of $20,000 a month working with them. So it takes it really does take a little bit of thought to make to do this the most effectively and most appropriately for them. So. Yeah, I kind of went on a little tirade about that, but I love that. I love this stuff. Can you revive sites that are years old but build without proper direction with a lot of content on them? Sherry, here's the thing. I have revived a lot of sites, and there's a lot of sites that I haven't been able to revive. The reality is that you can only test what what variables you have access to. One, scale back your linking if you have direct links. If you've been promoting just willy-nilly, sometimes you'll have to use that whole disavow system, which I think is complete rubbish, but sometimes you have to play by Google's rules. They'll tell you a lot in Webmaster Tools. There's a lot of data you can get out of, secondary. What's this latest one that I was looking at? It's another system that will tell you the bad links pointing to you. I don't know. I tell you, the person who has a pretty good tool, I don't know if she makes it publicly available, but her name's Dory Friend. She has some amazing data tools. I don't know if they're publicly available. She's in my SEO mastermind, and so I don't know, but I can definitely help you out with that. But the reality is, before you do anything and get too technical with it, first of all, look at changing your titles and your descriptions. If you have an abundance of links coming into one page or some really crappy links coming into one page, scale it back. Just scale it back. Oftentimes, the beauty of crappy links, and one thing that a lot of people don't realize, they drop fast. And the only reason why the count generally stays high is it's either outdated data being reported by the data aggregation tools. You catch that all in one sentence. Or it's simply because you're continuing your link building efforts using the same manners that you did in the beginning. So oftentimes, scale it back to just buffers. The bad links are going to just fade off naturally. Unfortunately, tools like Majestic and other tools like that, their data's old. I mean, that's the reality. The data's just old. So while the truth of the matter may be different than what's being reported, it does get better. Also, try taking out, use what I call the common sense test. If you have content on your site that you don't think is valuable, take it off, remove it. There's nothing that says it has to be there. Sure, it might be getting some, if you're getting some direct, clicks to it, simply set up a redirect on your site and point it to a more relevant site or more relevant page. So that's a couple things to look at. Jennifer, thank you. If you can go over and set up the buffer and how it works again. As a matter of fact, Jennifer, look at your screen right in front of you right now, and this is an image of the most effective buffer network that I have personally used. So that should take care of that. Ken, I have not had that problem with Linkit Pro. Ken is saying that the support seems to be non-existent for that site. I have not had that experience with them. And if that's the case, I have a direct line to the owners of that company. So I am more than happy to ask them why they're not responding to support tickets, because that is just not really acceptable when you're paying $400 for a buffer. Now Al's asking, how's the partnership structured? All of that is covered on the 9-minute and 10-second video after you fill out the form. I do ask that you visit partnerwithkeith.com. It's a very simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 form fields. You'll be redirected to the video, and then you will be asked if you want to go further. Well, a lot of micro commitments. I love micro commitments. Very interesting concept. Okay. Do we need to register EMD or branded domains? Or, you know what, Jamie, I am going to do something that's kind of funny, because I am going to go back to this slide that says, it answers this question for you. It says, hold on, it's right here. Domains, no EMD. So Jamie, I hope that answers your question. But it does say brandable domains. That's my stance on that. His other guy, Roger, I don't know who he is, but I guess he's okay. If this is the same Roger, if it is, he's in my mastermind group, so I'm just messing with him. Okay, so you don't recommend using someone to build your buffer network? Actually, I do recommend somebody to use my build my buffer network, and that person would be the Giza Pyramid from Linkit Pro. But you can do it on your own. I mean, I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying that's who I use. What's the product you pay for $400? Kay, that is the Giza Pyramid by Linkit Pro. I should be their official spokesperson. As a matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to them about that. Okay, not sure what you meant about shared hosting as opposed to a dedicated server. Ricardo, I love this question, and it's one that I want to really talk about. So shared hosting is so say you go to HostGator.com and you see a package for $7 a month, and you think to yourself, wow, this is an amazing deal. It's not an amazing deal. It's an amazing price, but it's not an amazing deal because you're sharing that server. So you're paying $7 a month to be on a server with 5,000 plus up to $20,000 or 20,000 sites in some cases, all of them on the same server, all of them using server resources, and all of them, in many cases, spammy sites, all sharing the same IP, all slowing it down, all creating a very bad environment. A dedicated server, on the other hand, is one that you own or rent, is probably a better way to say that, one that you rent, and one that only has sites on it that you control. Either be one site or maximum of 10 or 20. Just depends on how much resources your sites are taking from that server, dictates how many sites should be on that server. But I will say that nobody else has sites on your dedicated server other than you. And that, my friend, is a very, very big deal. What do you think about HiPR Squared? I don't think much about them, but they're there. Okay. Can these sites be used for your products on sites like Amazon? Yeah, I mean, if they're, as a matter of fact, well, I haven't necessarily thought this one through. Uh, on the surface, it makes complete sense. Say you're in health and fitness, and say your primary, what you primarily want reviews for are supplements. One of the single best supplement sites in the world is Amazon. I mean, there's a trust factor associated with them. Everybody doesn't have a problem putting their credit cards into Amazon. Amazon servers are always up. Their affiliate commissions stink, but there are ways around that, and to create that 24-hour cookie and turn it in to a 90-day cookie. There's all sorts of little things that you can do. One thing I would do is I would find maybe 50 products that you actually believe in on the Amazon Marketplace inside this particular category. Start doing the content curation and then the evolution of that curation through data monitoring. Have unique reviews written on those Amazon products, but I would not simply use one of these scrapers that will just scrape Amazon listings and put it up there. They have their place, but their place is not here. On the no-name traffic system sites. Have a real review created for them. It will convert infinitely better. Use the conversion elements that I talked about. My issue with this is commissions. Until you do volume with Amazon, you are generally stuck at a very low 4 to 6% commission structure. And then when you do volume, you bump that up to, I believe it's 8 to 12, if I'm not mistaken, depending on the category. So you have to be able to do volume. So I would really focus on products in the Amazon Marketplace that the companies behind those are spending a lot of money on branding. By doing that, you serve a much better chance of doing quite well with your product promotions, because not only are you attempting to jack the brand, at the same time you're sending people to a very trusted order checkout site. So there you go. I think that's powerful stuff. Okay. So Jamie, if it's free, what do I gain from it? Again, that's all on the video. I explain it in detail, and it's I think it's a very interesting proposition. So what type of monthly investment in these sites do we need? None. Well, one, watch the video if you're partnering with me. If you're not partnering with me, let's just break down the cost of this, because it can be costly. I know that my curated writers are, I think I pay them roughly $250 to $300 a month, depending on the content, the 600 or 1,000 word or a combination of both. So let's just say $300 a month for that. My reviews are roughly $50 a month. Actually, I think they're specifically $49 a month per review. I try to have 2 to 4 reviews added each month, so that expense can take us up to another $200. So now we're at roughly 5. The linking, I try to get a Giza pyramid into each one of the reviews. So if I have 4 reviews up there, and mind you, you don't have to do it this way. This is just if money's no object and how you're going to do it. That right there is another $1,600. So now we're up to roughly $2,100, and then Link Emperor. I use a $700 package with them, so now we're up to about 28. So it can get expensive. Do you have to do it like that? Absolutely not. But I also look at $2,800. While it's an investment by stretch of the imagination, if you're doing this on your own, it's really not that bad when you start making money. If you're getting $20,000 a month checks coming in, $15,000 a month checks coming in, now that's cheaper than pay-per-click. I mean, that's how you have to look at this. SEO is not free, despite what anybody tells you. There is no free traffic source other than maybe somebody referral, and then it's still not free because it's somebody's reputation. But from a cost standpoint, SEO is just as costly. It's actually a bit less costlier than pay-per-click, but the quality of clicks coming through equate to that of much higher pay-per-click sources like AdWords. Facebook ads, not so much, simply because if your targeting's off, you're really getting a lot of crap clicks. So that is, so yeah, you're looking at under $3,000 a month to run this on your own. But again, you're promoting multiple products, and I just don't see that you can't make more than $3,000 a month pretty quickly with this. So that's my thought. No, we shut down Evergreen Traffic Formulas, gosh, a year ago. So that's been shut down for quite some time. Just so y'all know, that was my press release course. I was partnered with Jared Crosso on that. We're business partners, and wonderful course. I mean, great content on press releases, still very relevant, but it was, it was just, PR Web started giving me a lot of problems, and I just couldn't deal with them anymore. So your site articles link to each other and then link to the product reviews. So right now, we're talking about topical. We're talking about topical product reviews. We're not talking about brand jacking product reviews. So yes, the site articles one links to the next. That one, other one links to the following one. As a matter of fact, let's just make this real simple. Let's go back to this right here. Okay, so this is the structure. Take a screenshot of this if you need to, but this is the linking structure. Each arrow dictates where the actually linking pattern is coming from and then where they're going to. Hope that helps, Wes. Okay, let me see. What do you think of HostGator? I tell you what I think of HostGator. Okay, so what do I think of other hosts? I think a lot of other hosts. Susan, I don't think a whole lot of HostGator, quite honestly. And they're even a local company to me. I'm in Houston, and they're a Houston company, so they employ a lot of people here, and I respect the heck out of that. And I think their service is awesome. I think they have an awesome customer service department. I do not like their servers. I just don't at all. So let's see. Do you mix paid traffic as well as SEO tactics with your promotions, Jerry? Absolutely. I love. Paid traffic is predictable and repeatable. I love that. So when a review is working, that tells me a lot. When one of the 5% on my site is making a lot of money, that gives me some great data. Well, yeah, of course I'm going to scale that out to more pay-per-click sources. So, there are two. This is a great little tangent, and one that I think a lot of people will understand. In the past, every single product review began with a pay-per-click campaign, and then morphed from that because we knew the keywords were working. We knew all sorts of data that we could apply to our campaign, and when our campaigns were static, that just made complete sense. But since everything evolves constantly now, pay-per-click prices are through the roof. It almost makes more sense to direct link in Facebook than it is to do anything else. So how do we change this? How do we change the game? Well, the game can be changed by actually using SEO, which is a very fast ranking. That's the ranking mechanism today in Google. If done this way, and I mean, it's not the only way that it's done, but if done like this, it's very fast. You get data quickly. I mean, we're talking a couple weeks. You have good data. And then you can use that data, and as the data morphs, so will your keyword list and whatever other pay-per-click traffic source that you're working with. So yes, I do use paid traffic, and I absolutely love paid traffic because of the predictability. Is it safe to use these networks for brand? Yeah, all of my sites are brand new websites. I don't use any on age domains. You could. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem with age domains, you have to do, you have to do some checking first, just to make sure that that domain was never penalized, what type of content was on that domain prior to acquiring it, what type of linking structures were done to that domain in the past, and do any of them still affect it currently. Brand new domains, you know what? A lot of people say, "Oh, you'll be sandbox." That was in the old days, man. We're not seeing that stuff anymore. There are so many things have changed from an SEO standpoint just in the last months that the rules are just different now. In many cases, we've reverted back to the effectiveness of 2006. So it's interesting. Mark, yeah, I was a beta tester with those with Link It Pro too. They are an awesome company. Love them. Ken, it's funny. The Aztec Pyramid, I have not found as much value in that as the Giza. And yes, it is considerably less money. But in terms of effectiveness, I've made a lot more money from what I've actually done with the Giza Pyramid. Have you ever used a network? I've never used. I know that she does offer link networks. Kay's question specifically is, have you ever used a network offered by Dory Friend? I have never used one of those networks, but I do know she offers them, and I have no take on it one way or the other because I just don't know. Again, she's a friend. She's in my SEO mastermind, and she's an extraordinarily bright person. I just don't know how effective the sites are because I've never used them, and I can only speak from experience. Jeff is asking the curation writer. Okay, yeah, it is Jeff. The curation writer and the review company is the same thing. Chris Sasso says Chris Remper rocks. He does. He does. So, I like him. He's a good guy. Thordor, I love that name, man. This is the best. Thanks, Thordor. I appreciate that. I really did try to make this no hype. Most it cracks me up. Most webinars are 30 minutes of how badass I am, 5 minutes of high level, no depth content, and then an hour and a half of pitching, and that's just it makes sales. Don't get me wrong. People get very wealthy doing that, and that's fine. It's just not my style. So that's I want to work with people like me. So that's how I structured the webinars to attract people like me. How much the initial investment required to build a site with the system, assuming I outsource the content and link building? Hick, we just talked about that. Roughly, $2,500 to $3,000 a month to do it exactly the way that I said. Now, mind you, you don't have to use the Giza pyramid. That would right there would knock off $1,600 a month. You don't have to use my writers. You can do it yourself. That's just a time commitment. So you could do it for a heck of a lot less. Sasso, so Sasso says something interesting. The Gmail thing will increase it even more instead of decrease, which is, I think, a lot of people's gut reactions is that it will decrease it. It's interesting, Sasso, is I tend to agree with you, and I don't necessarily know why thoroughly yet. Data hasn't told me one way or the other, but you know what? I like to be an optimist, so let's just see what happens. And you're right, Sasso, it is less segmenting. Now the question is if you're subscribed to numerous lists and you are a very poor marketer with very catchy headlines, your results through the segmented tabs are probably going to be the same as if it wasn't segmented, and that's almost non-existent. But if you have a little bit of personality and your emails are interesting, people are going to seek you out generally. That's the way I see it. So Kay is asking, do you use Aweber for managing your list? If not, then who? Yes, I do. They manage some of my list, and the reason why is that I go back many years with them, and it was just laziness on my part not to migrate from them. I also use Office Autopilot, and I also use a custom setup with a custom SMTP server. So I have a very large email expense every month, but you know what? It's well worth it. So I have no problem with doing it. I just don't like to think about how much it costs. Jerry says, I like the email ads from a marketer standpoint, and the Gmail would love to test. Yeah, that's it's interesting, Jerry. I think that it's an opportunity. We just have to figure out exactly how it's an opportunity. Michelle, will you work with people outside the U.S.? Yeah, I mean, we live in a digital age with no borders. That's the beauty of the internet. So Ernesto says, so do you need to do just one Giza per review, or do you have to do it several times? I only do it once. Link Emperor takes over after the Giza. So, watch this presentation again in section number 4 where I talk about the linking. Just as a quick review, Giza pyramids in the beginning, let it I'm using the word fester. That's not the right word. Let it flourish. Let it flourish for 30 days, and then push in Link Emperor on that. Joe, you're very welcome, sir. Okay, so again, another question is, if partnering with you is free, what's the catch? Well, go watch the video, because there's more to it than that. Just go watch the video. That's all I ask. Okay. Thordor, can I fix a website that has got unnatural links messages from Google and lost page rank 4 down to 2 by starting curating, or is the site a lost cause? All of my rankings are gone. Panda thing. You know what? There is always a way to recover. I will say that because I've seen some hopeless cases get fixed, oftentimes through site restructuring, title restructuring, and then the arduous task of getting around unnatural links and then going through re-inclusion requests. That is a pain. In my opinion, And I mean, unless, in my opinion, start over. I mean, that's I know that's not what most people want to hear, but that's, oh my God, the amount of effort that goes into uh, what other people consider to be a lost cause case is oftentimes not worth the effort when a new setup done properly can achieve the same results in a half the time. So you have to look at, your risk reward ratio in that situation. Is it more advantageous to start fresh with something new and build myself back up to the point that I was at with the old site? And that, you have to kind of figure that one out. Or, is it more advantageous to take the risk and the gamble to fix a site that was once very profitable but isn't profitable at all anymore? So that's really the big question you have to work out for yourself. uh, this seems a bit overwhelming, but I got to say you're one incredible professional and first class presenter. Skip, thank you, sir. That's actually brings a big smile to my face, because most people think I'm no, I'm just kidding. No, I do appreciate you. That's I'm passionate about this stuff, and I like to pass the stuff on. It's not a I run several mastermind groups, and I usually start off the groups, and these are groups that I've formed in the past. And I usually start off with the first presentation about what's working now. And it's interesting, for the last year, all of my presentations have simply been tweaks of what I've just shown you. So, these guys that, they all congregate into the Austin area, 4 times a year, they're hearing what you're hearing what they hear. So yeah, their level of understanding may be more in depth from an SEO standpoint, but the reality is that this stuff isn't rocket science, and I do truly believe that anybody can do this. It's just a matter of actually doing it. That's the issue, is that most people just don't do anything, and then wonder why they're in the situation that they're in because they haven't done anything. That's I don't know if he's still on this call, but I recently went up to North Carolina to go through a little training, and I'm not going to reveal what the training was about or anything like that. But the guy putting it on, he and I had gone back many years, and what always fascinated me with this guy is that he, would be underground, but he always made stuff work. And it wasn't because he just sat, rested on his laurels and did nothing and hoped for the best to happen to him. It's because he was always trying new stuff or refining what had been working for him for so long. And, I don't know about you, but I like to surround myself with people like that, because that attitude, that tenacity wears off on you. And that's for, if anybody from my mastermind groups are on this call, they're going to just laugh when I tell you this. There's a whole reason why I formed those groups. Those groups aren't profitable for me. If anything, I lose money on that stuff. But the reality is that when you surround yourself with like-minded people who are oftentimes much smarter than you, maybe in different areas, all of that rubs off on you. You really are able to define, who you are from not only a personal standpoint, but from, a business standpoint. It's a fascinating concept, and sounds very woo, and something that I never grasped earlier on in life. And one thing I do try to impart to my kids now is, if you're around a kid that is, exhibits bad behavior, but there's a nerd that it exhibits good behavior, be more like that nerd, because I guarantee you later in life you are going to be so much better off. I mean, just look at Bill Gates. I mean, of course, some people think that he's turned to the evil side, but whatever. Um, oh, thanks, Eva. Yeah, that's so she said that she's been watching stuff I've done since the Magic Bullet seminar. I've got a funny story about that Magic Bullet seminar. As I've spoken at conferences around the world for many, many years, and even to this day, I my God, I'm just going to tell you, I feel like I'm just going to wet myself right before I go on stage. I have found, and I am so nervous that, it's just incredibly nerve wracking to speak in front of a large group of people. And one thing that I have found that has always helped, and some people have called me out on it, but it's just funny, but I have a crutch, and I don't even drink Starbucks anymore, but I always have to go on stage with the Starbucks in my hand just so I have something there. Uh, but it's a very nerve wracking thing. But the one thing that I try to do when I speak publicly is that I like to tell stories, and I like to give a lot of usable content, not just a 90-minute pitch. And I don't get along well in the speaker world simply because I don't really follow a lot of their formulas. Do what comes natural, and it'll work. Terry, let's talk about ecom. Um, Ecom is powerful. One of my good friends just released a course. I think he called it the Brown Lunch Box or something. I'm kidding. His name's Ezra. I think it's a Brown Box special or something. But it's an amazing course on ecom. And the last time he and I were in Austin together, we sat down and really worked the back infrastructure of what could be on an ecom site. And many of the elements that we talked about today have morphed into that. And in one area that I opposed to him, and neither of us really have an answer yet, neither of us have really had the time to test it, but taking a data feed, like you go to say, here's the scenario. You go to somewhere like shareasale.com that offers, or Commission Junction that offers tons and tons of data feeds. A data feed is simply a product feed offered by a company with all of their products in it that already has your affiliate links embedded in it, and is ready for importing to build a pseudo e-com site. It's not drop shipping. It's not your own branded products. It is truly an affiliate store. And then taking it to the next level, once that's been created, the store's been created, in like Data Feeder or any of these other sites will help build those stores. Then you go in, you take the next step, and you rewrite the titles. But now you're sitting on essentially an e-com affiliate store. Well, how do we get outside of buying Facebook ads or any other type of ads or optimizing the individual listings? What I posed to Ezra is that let's look at these as the product reviews for our site, and then use and as topical product reviews for our site, and let's create silos for each with the products on the site, and then use the curated content on the back to enhance the social nature of the site. So that, I can't say that I've tested it, but that's a concept. So if any of you run with that concept and want to report back to me how well that works, I would be immensely grateful. Okay, that's so Lulu, I'd say go watch that video. Okay, so Holly, this is a beautiful question, and I'm so glad you asked it. How do you avoid FTC problems with the reviews you are writing? Well, so this is why I use the articles on Tap Company, and the cons are the cons are never necessarily cons. They are negative in nature because it simply expresses an opinion of what I don't like, but it's never derogatory to the point of slander, or is that libel? I was one of the two. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But that's I've never been the only problem I've ever had has been from a company, and that's simply because we overtook their own brand term. But the FTC hasn't come down on us for anything that we've said or done. We have all the appropriate disclosures on our site, affiliate disclosures, terms of service disclosures, earning statements, everything. We have everything on our site. So from a technicality standpoint, everything that we've done has been compliant up to this point. In the 15 years I've done this, the FTC has not said, Keith, you are going to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 or pay us $200,000. So I've never been in that situation. And quite frankly, I've had plenty of lawyers look at my sites, and not one of them have found any issues with them. So I think that I love that question because that's something that does have to be addressed. Okay, let's see. Do the reviews written by articles? Yes, they do. They follow the review model very well, and between the owners of that company and myself, I've gone back and forth with them, and they do a beautiful job now. Rashawn, I just laid out an e-com plan. Again, this is because right now Halloween, guys, is if you were going to promote Halloween costumes, you better get your site set up now. I mean, that's the reality. If you do it a month before, you've just missed out. So set them up now. If you do not own or use a drop shipper of those Halloween costumes and are doing it from an affiliate base, by all means, please try what I just laid out or listen to the audio again. I think that would be beautiful. Um, okay, that's you know, would my partnership program be a fit for a new product line? Yes, it absolutely could. I mean, and it could all be topical reviews. That's by all means that or the ecom model. We could absolutely do that. Thanks, Mark. You know what, James? Just put your email in. Just put 555, whatever. I'm not yes, I'm not calling you up front. I mean, that's just, and I'm not having a setter call you either. And a setter, for those who don't know the coaching world, that's somebody that will call you first and fill you out for how much money you have, and then set you up to close at that higher dollar level. That is, we're not doing that here, just so you know. Do you use both Google Analytics and Rank Tracker? Yes, I do. I do use both on the same site. My keyword data comes from Rank Tracker. But one of the things that I really enjoy with Google Analytics is seeing exactly the bounce rate on my site and then understanding how that is affecting what's going on. So yes, I do use both. I do know cloak hosting. I don't use cloak host. I don't use cloak hosting for anything ever. So I don't. It's just I don't even know who they are, but just the word cloak hosting uh, lends them to be problematic at best, in my opinion. Okay, yeah. See, that's so other people are saying Link Pro support is good. I love that. Uh, okay, so Roger, you do owe me a beer. So you said that you'll buy me a beer if I respond. We will see you in San Diego next month. So I do expect one. Um, Actually, you know what? I can't. I stopped drinking because I'm actually a health nut now. But you can buy me a juice, man. I'm all into juices these days. Why no EMDs? So Jocelyn, let's talk about this. This is a great question. Earlier I said let's go brandable domains, no EMDs. EMDs work, but not longevity. So it's not. Our focus here is longevity. Our focus here is avoiding problems that could potentially arise in the future. And while we can only predict, we can make an informed prediction on what they will or won't like in the future. They've already come down and stated that they don't like exact match domains. But with that being said, what if an exact match domain is most appropriate to the site being built? Well, how could that be a penalty? Well, that might not necessarily be. But with that being said, what is more sellable? And mind you, I learned this from an old buddy of mine, Rich. Everything needs to have an end in sight. We didn't talk about this in the presentation, but you gotta look to the end being the big sell-off. So what's going to be more valuable to a prospective buyer of one of these sites in the future? Is it going to be a brandable domain, or is it going to be an exact match domain that in many cases looks nonsensical to the topic? And that, if you can answer that question yourself, then I think that you have your answer. Okay, so when would you want to use a Giza versus Pyramid versus using Link Emperor, and should one be used before the other? Absolutely. That was covered in section number 4. The buffer from the Giza is used first, and 30 days later, we introduce Link Emperor. Please send us a replay. It will be, and I think it will be put on partnerwithkeith.com. Al asked how much dollars generally so to build these out exactly as I've laid out specifically, you're looking between $2,500 and $3,000 a month. Specifically, you can reduce the number of reviews to 2 a month. That would take your cost and reviews to $100 a month, and the cost of the Giza Pyramid to $800 a month. You could also prepay your Giza Pyramids and get additional credits with those guys that you can use, which would offset your cost. You can also reduce the number of curated items. I like to go 2 per week. You can reduce that to 1 and reduce your cost on curation in half. I would post at least once a week from a posting schedule standpoint. I like to post randomly more than that. just so you know. So that should have covered that. But can you explain why no EMD? Sorry, I missed that. Yes, Jamie, I will explain why. Actually, I think I just did. So I think I don't really know what else. And I'm not being sarcastic here. I'm just simply can't really think of another reason why, other than if you go to sell it off, the most appropriate sell off would be with a branded domain rather than an EMD domain. And guys, let's talk. You know what? This leads to a wonderful topic. That's selling your business. Um, it's one thing to make $10,000 to $20,000 a month or more from one of these sites. That's one thing, and that's beautiful. It's a great secondary or even primary income. Um, what's even more beautiful is when somebody approaches you to buy it, and then you're in the midst of negotiating. Now they're always going to lowball you at first, and they're always going to undervalue the asset. So, $20,000 initial deal for a site that's made me well over $100,000 since the beginning of January was just flat out ridiculous. But it opened the doors to negotiation. At least now I have another contact with a broker, and if there's one buyer interested, I guarantee you there's 100 more. So let the broker find them and give me the price that I want. So everything's sellable, and that's one thing that I keep in mind. And one thing that with these partnerships that you're going to realize is that while we have these incomes, our goal at some point in time is to get a big paycheck. And whatever that big paycheck is dependent on the income derived from that site. So I have a very vested interest in making it profitable, because I like big paychecks. It gets myself and my family to go on really nice trips to places for extended periods of time. I like that a lot. Okay, what about using HostGator reselling account with 5 sites per IP address? Scott, I am not a big fan of HostGator. Now, with that being said, I say that through experience. It's not that I just am something against them. I just have not had a great experience with them. I've even used their SEO hosting service, and just never good. I just can't say it any other way. Larry, I appreciate that. Yeah, data is king. That is amen to that. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate that, sir. He said that this is very informative and valuable. That was my intent. So I hope you actually do use this, because that's just my intent. Use all old, yes. So let's talk about this. No, I don't use old age domains. I did mention that. All of my sites are new. There is a myth about age domains that I do want to talk about. There are a handful of age domains that are priceless, meaning that the second you take them over, it's like instantaneous success. But those are few and far between. The majority of domains that appear to be gold on the front have some type of baggage associated with them. What that baggage is, I don't know right offhand, but there's a plethora of things that could drag behind it. I learned that the hard way. Now, with that being said, those are also the domains that you might acquire for under, say, $300. The domains that you acquire for, say, plus $300 that are on the premium domain market that may have never had a site on them, but were initially acquired for the sole purpose of reselling them for an extremely high price, that have great branded names with them, those sites may very well be awesome targets. But also, you're paying a premium for it. Not that paying a premium is a bad deal. I've bought a lot of premium domains. It just depends on the intent that you're going for, and that's personal worth to you, whether or not you're willing to spend that kind of money on a domain. There was a point in time I was going to go into, in not so distant past, I was going into local marketing, and I had a whole plan set up for this. And for one reason or another, just I don't even remember the reason why it didn't work out, but it was for a lack of action of anything. But I acquired a premium domain that was a brilliant domain, but it was an expensive premium domain. Loved it. So it's yeah, so that's that's another thing. Spreading yourself too thin. Let's talk about that one. I love building these no-name traffic system sites. But when you're fostering these businesses, you're building lists, you're marketing to those lists. in the best case scenario, you're mailing those lists daily, coming up with ideas to mail about the next day, ideas for more products, ideas for getting the reviews written, managing. It can be a full-time deal, and especially when you're managing multiple sites. Now you have, especially when you're doing email marketing the right way and you're contacting people often and you're being creative and using stories to sell and whatnot. So when it's, if you're looking at it, this is where the partnership program really shines, in my opinion, because you can focus on your primary business, whatever that is, local marketing or whatever, and then work with the partner program. On the other hand, if this is your primary business, like it is myself, then jumping off into things like local marketing, where my time can't be allocated to its best use in the local marketing space, created more of a disaster than anything. So just, yeah, that's another rant. So let's see, Jeff, do you still recommend Send? No, and not for lack of them not being effective, but you can get social signals out of Link Emperor, and if you structure your campaign in Link Emperor appropriately, you can really recreate the Send concept for a lot less money. So I just haven't seen a big value otherwise. Jamie's asking, what kind of income potentially can we expect from one of these kind of sites? That's a good question. They all have made more than I've invested. Some of them have made a lot more. It really depends upon your dedication, the products that you're promoting, how well those products convert, and how much traffic you're able to get to them. If you're going into a ridiculous market, it could take longer. But even, just look at the stock and option site. I was approached out of the blue today, $550 CPA. It is very likely that in the not so distant future from setting it up, that you'll be pleasantly surprised with what happens. I mean, this is the natural web, in my opinion. So it's okay, Steve. I missed part when you said when using English. Yes, with my hosting recommendation, I do use their dedicated server packages. So I do, and I think each server I have with them, I pay $309 per month, just so you know. And how many sites can I host without an issue? Right now, I have roughly 10 to 20 domains per server, and I'm using one IP on each server, just so you know. I mean, that's all I'm using. I have multiple IPs on the server, but yes, this will not be available in the Health Syndicate Mastermind, which is one of the masterminds that I run, but this will be available on partnerwithkeith.com when it's encoded after this. How would you go about building a NNTS for network marketing BizOp? Well, Kendra, it's a great question, because I actually have one in that marketplace, and I go about building it the same way. So the difference is that the reviews are less. I have fewer reviews on the site, but I do promote multiple companies, and the industry that I speak about is network marketing overall. Just let me go on a little rant. That's a tougher nut to crack, just so you know. It is being done, but you have to look at this, and this is what I realized real quickly, is that every single network marketing company, albeit one, and I've just found them recently, they all their conversion elements, their sites are horrible at converting. They are reliant upon personal interaction. Well, this system shines when you don't have to call somebody and beg them to join a program. This system shines when you can send traffic to somebody else's site and they order, because the conversion processes on that other site encourage them to buy beyond your pre-sale. So with that being said, if you are doing this in network marketing, make sure that your pre-sale is strong enough to convert that person into a buyer, or even better, in my opinion, because it is such a let's talk to everybody kind of business, simply get them to call, set up a recorded line, and track it through some kind of pay-per-call tracking software. Maybe have a recorded message on there, something along those lines. Another way that you can do this is to set up a quick survey to pre-qualify them into your opportunity that you can then speak to them on the phone, but then use the backbone of the no-name traffic system with the reviews of the opportunities and the curation of that industry to drive the traffic. So there are two, outside of giving away the actual keywords that I'm ranked for, I've actually brand jacked two network marketing companies, and my sites are above the actual company sites in the SERPs. So that sounds great, but does it convert? Well, not by sending traffic directly to their offer, which has been the mainstay. So just realize that there are pitfalls with that. So I don't know any other way to say it, but it's a much different field of operation than I'm used to operating in. Okay, well, Peg, actually, because I'm not taking 1,000 people, I'm taking 10. And actually, last night one, so I'm only taking 9. I can only deal with just I can only deal with 10 people. So that's actually a lot of work for me and my team. So that is, just so you know, that's the Partner with Keith is truly limited to 10. One guy joined last night that was on my mastermind. I did this presentation yesterday to get the kinks worked out, or fill in the gaps for a mastermind of mine. And after the mastermind, I opened it up and asked them if they would simply provide feedback on areas that I needed to expand upon, or even just take out. And they gave me some great ways to enhance the presentation to make it more understandable and easier and more simplified. That's really the power of the mastermind. But one of the guys, I wasn't even asking him to join; he still joined. So I thought that was interesting. Let me see. Lulu, if you do the Partner with Mastermind, or the Partner with Keith, you don't deal with any of the content yourself. My team deals with all that. What part of the NNTS will be formed by myself and outsourced? Yeah, so while I do want that video to explain everything, I do want to tell you what your commitment is to this, because you do have a commitment. One of the things is that you and I will be on the phone once per month. You and I are going to analyze the data together, and you and I are going to dictate the future month of that site. I can do it on my own, and that's fine, but there's no value in that to you, other than just, in my opinion, I think that you have to be an integral part of the process. So it'll generally take us 15 to 30 minutes a month, and it'll be the first week of each month. You and I will get on the phone and actually do that. Another thing that you will be responsible for is, once you do join, you are going to give me 3 industries that you want to jump into. I will give you my suggestion of which one to jump into, and the ultimate decision of which one to go into is yours, but you will have my input on that. And then from a product standpoint, you and I will be researching products together. I can't find everything. My admin can't find everything. As a matter of fact, my admin's in the Philippines. There are some tasks that I like to do myself, simply because I think I have a nose to look at conversion elements on a site and be able to pick that out pretty quick. So you and I are going to be doing that together. We will both have lists, and we will have a starting place to work from. So this is an interactive deal. After that, your commitment is probably, I would just say at max 30 minutes to me, but you do have a line into me. This is a business. Business does require communication. It's not and while there is the teaching element to it, it is more of a partnership where we dictate the future direction of the site together, not where you're asking me questions all day long and using me as a consultant. That's not this scenario. This scenario truly is a business building situation. If you have questions about the future of the site and how we're doing things, that's fine. But realize that my end goal with these sites is to sell them, is to make money, to profit from them, and sell them. And how do we do that? Well, we do that together, because everything is split with these deals. So that's about as much as I think I'm going to say about that one, but that covers quite a bit, I think. Actually, James, if you just listen to that rant, I think you just got every question answered. Ken, let's talk about this. On the silos, what type of anchor text are we using? we are using every page of the silo is focused on a single keyword, and that is what we are linking to. This is old school linking with variation of mixed links coming into that. Does that make sense? So Link Emperor automates that, just so you know. Let's see. Are the articles okay? So yeah, actually, Phil, this is a great question. One I didn't even address. Are the articles WordPress poster pages? The reviews are pages, and the curation are posts. The how-tos are posts, and the tips are posts. But the reviews are pages. The silos are childs of those pages. So I didn't, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, if I ever make this presentation at any point in time in the future, I am going to make sure I include that because I did not. So thank you. Oh, you know what, Michael? You're actually going to laugh at this because I am going to be the internet marketing dude that tells you the truth. So Michael's question is, hey, Keith, this is great. Thank you. Love the evolution of this. Who are you using to build out your email sequences? And do you use triggers based on the review that was visited? So I write all of my own emails. I don't outsource it. I think that there are certain processes. I probably work more than the average internet dude that claims to never work, simply because there are things in my business that are crucial to my success. In my opinion, my selling mechanisms are one of them. Unless I am paying a high price consultant who is better at converting stuff than myself, I'm doing it. Oftentimes, I've hired copywriters for an enormous amount of money only to write better copy myself because I understood what I was writing about so much better than they did. Or this one bugs the crud out of me, but I understand it. When they send me 100-page document to complete so they can then get a sense of what to write about. Look, if I'm going to fill out a 20, 50, 100-page form, I can write it myself. I mean, really, I studied copy for many, 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 many years, and that's just one thing that I keep close to me. I think that email copy is the most effective form of sales copy in existence, and it's made me more money than anything. And I hold that one very, very dear and close, and actually pride myself in writing good email copy. So that one, if my advice is never to outsource it. I just don't think that that's something you should outsource. Other people may say different. And then, so that's my answer on that. And then, do you use triggers based on the review that was visited? I'm not sure I totally understand that, but I will say that I don't understand that. I don't even want to try to interpret it, but I know that that's okay. You know what, Mac? I am going to use this. So that is awesome. So my company name, and everybody laughs at this. So my company name is Gibble LLC, Gibble LLC, and I am inevitably, I don't know. It's English is my fourth language. I am often asked at conferences, Keith, what in the world does Gibble mean? Well, Gibble was literally the first sounds that my now 9-year-old made when he was, not even one. I mean, he was a baby. And it was just the funniest thing because I think we were watching a Gibbles and Bit commercial at the time, and he simply sounded out Gibble. And it was such a moment for my wife and I that I just said, oh my God. And so this Gibble LLC was formed in 2004, and that was short a week after he made that noise. So it just stuck. It makes no sense to anybody but myself and my wife. So that's all it is. But yeah, I love this. How much Gibble could a Gibble Chuck Gibble? I'm sorry, this is funny. I love that. Okay, Holly, when you start a new site, how much content do you add to the site before you wait the 30 days for the data? Actually, you know what? We start the content from day one. So we initially So the curation writer is, as soon as they have content, they start posting it. Then I'm not, remember, the curation stuff is only getting social signals. So oftentimes, while those are technically links, I don't view them as links necessarily. But then the reviews oftentimes takes the writer about 5 to 7 days to return the first one. As soon as they return it, it comes to me. Review it for just, I mean, I've had some reviews return that were horrible. So just make sure it's good. That I post it, and then I immediately initiate a Giza campaign. And that point generally takes them about a week to finish a Giza campaign. From the point that I order it begins the 30-day cycle. And then by that 30-day cycle, the Giza campaign is complete, and it's been complete for at least 2 weeks at that point in time, at least 2 weeks at that point in time. And then data is already coming in. There has not been one situation where no data has come in. So there's always data at that point in time. Now, mind you, is that a hard and fast rule? It's not a hard and fast rule. It is what I do. It is what I follow, and I've always seen data from it. Is there a situation where at some point in time in the future I won't have any data? Yeah, probably, but I haven't seen it yet. So I would say that it's less likely not to happen than it is to happen. Okay. Brett, so he's asking, do I use Linkit Pro's high PR links? I am testing, and I have no conclusive results on it yet. I have started with their 15 high PR package and did have a bump, but it wasn't a bump that could not be attributed to anything else. So my next goal, and I won't do it on an NNTS site simply because I know what would happen. They have a huge, it's like a 400 high PR link package. What I will likely do with that, and this is in the works and the planning, I just haven't executed it yet, is on a review that's doing very, very well, I will have that review for that product rewritten, a new review for that product, I should say, created, put it on a standalone site. It'd just be on the root of a domain, no other content, and blast it with those 400 high PR links. That will tell me how effective it is. So I don't have anything conclusive on it. I've been very conservative in my testing with it because it's just those are spammy links. But I also see the value in blasting 400 of them to a single page. So I know what would happen. It just has to be a high converting offer because I think that's another $400 to test that. So do you need to run the Giza every other month, Frank is asking? No, I run it once. There are situations, and again, this gets down to monitoring, making adjustments. I guess there are situations where I would run it again, but it's subjective to that moment. So it's not going to be a hard and fast rule. X does X. It would be more of a, and I can't really say this any other way, and it's going to sound really woo, but my gut is oftentimes dictates some of the things that I do, further on. We're talking 6-8 months down the road. So I would call that a gut call. And I would say, listen to yours as well. I mean, oftentimes it's right. Jamie, my main business is this. I build these sites and I make money with them. My primary business, if I'm in the business of anything, it's building lists and monetizing lists. I do have I haven't blogged in a couple years. I've run 2 very big blogs. One was called woodymaxim.com, and then the other was affiliateradio.com. Both of them are gone now. Then I have a new one that I'd started and ran as a private membership site in 2004 called nothingheldback.com. So that will be a side venture of mine probably in the next week. The base infrastructure is done, and initially I was going to put this replay on that site, and that still may happen, but that is these sites are my main business. This is where the bulk of my income is generated. And it all really comes down to email marketing, SEO reviews, Facebook ads, buying traffic, and generating traffic, and monetizing traffic. So that is, I looked to get into the local marketing business. That's fine. I do have a side consulting business that does somewhat keep me occupied. But that really is a trading time for money. And that for me is more of a venture in finding out where people are with things and then what I need to deliver in the future. So, and then I do run gosh, I guess I do have a few things. I do run an SEO mastermind. I run a health syndicate mastermind. Most of the products that I enjoy promoting personally are in the fitness space. So, we run a health syndicate where a bunch of product owners from the health world are in that. So I do have that, and then I have some side. I guess I have MLM money, but I look at that as part of the NNTS system setup too. So in the end, it's all NNTS. Okay, let me see what time it is. It's 4:30. So we've been going about 2.5 hours. I have to stop in just a little while simply because Sharknado is on tonight, and I have to get my popcorn ready for that. I am not actually kidding about that. I love cheesy B-rated movies. Okay, Jeff. So let's say I have a product that serves more than one niche. So in other words, let's say I have a product that cures cancer, which I probably would never say publicly, and the same product also cures a special kind of addiction. Nor would I say that probably publicly either. Would I build one site with multiple categories covering? Yes, this would be, as long as the industries are related, I would call this an industry-related site. Yes, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And actually, and if it's a single product, you can do the reverse NNTS system where you start with the product and work your way back and really let a lot of it define itself over time. There will be a recording. Yes, yes. Can the system help a newbie? Absolutely. I mean, I'd laid everything out for you. Just follow the directions, and I think you'll be okay. What autoresponder are you using? Aweber, Office Autopilot, and then I have a special setup with a custom SMTP server. Does Articles on Tap come up with the topics? No, I come up with all the topics and simply dictate to them what to do. Thank you, Andreas. I do appreciate you. Thank you. Do you think local marketing for small business is a good business model? Jamie, I said I was moving in that direction, but I will simply say that I did not give it the energy that it required. So, can you show? Oh, the presentation link again, Matt. Man, one of my favorite UFC fighters is named Matt Brown. Man, that's awesome. Great name. Can you show the presentation link again? I am not sure what that link is. I will have the replay up at partnerwithkeith.com tonight, though. Let's see. The word promotions could lead the prospect to a presupposition that value at a discount is being offered at a discount. So the new Google format could be positive. That's insightful, Kendra, actually, quite insightful. So it's, I love psychology. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or really anybody that, studied persuasion and NLP to a point, but even that, I still don't understand. So I am taking your word on that. Yes, Moises, I'll give you a highlight of the backlinking strategy. The two types of links that we're dealing with, we're using direct links, and then we're using social links. The direct links starts off with a Giza pyramid to the reviews, and then 30 days later we'll initiate our link emperor or buffer backing down to direct linking campaign to the reviews, and then the social signals goes to the curated post. So that is it in a nutshell, my friend. So Al's asking how much between spending $2,800 a month on this system before expecting a positive ROI. I would say everything comes down to the products that you're promoting and how well those products convert. Little tip for you. If you have jumped into the ClickBank marketplace, and mind you, you're talking about some competition here, but just hear me out. And say you go into the health and fitness niche and you take the top, say 20 products with the highest gravity in that category, well, those convert, okay? Because affiliates are promoting them, they're making money with them, and they're converting. So if you had those as product reviews, and mind you, I know for a fact many people doing that are using the NNTS system because they're in my mastermind and I've taught them this and they're using it. So I don't know if that's the best example to use in this situation, because I hate for you to go after that and then have to deal with really some seriously strong sharks that are in tornadoes. But that's yeah. So, but that is an idea of at least how to identify products that are converting. Other than that, this is you know this is what I do. I put my ears to the ground, my nose is to the ground. I'm sniffing out. I'm listening. I am always on the lookout for at least the industries that I'm involved with, and I'm talking to people. And mind you, I'm a shy guy by naturally. I'm not a big outgoing dude. Um, so I have to put myself out there to find these things. But as you get more entrenched in an industry, not only will you be approached by people with offers that convert, but people that have offers that convert begin to know about you, and then it's much more easier for you to approach them. So there's work. I mean, outside of doing the simple things like looking at ClickBank, but even doing that, there are so many super intelligent people selling on ClickBank that you would never know about in categories that seem as obscure as anything, but have $1 million a month budgets. And I am not kidding about that. So a lot of ways to do it. Just you have to just kind of get out there. Okay, where's the video link again? It's not, go to partnerwithkeith.com, complete the form. The next page will be the link. Thank you, CB. I appreciate that, sir. The video is the Partner with Keith 9-minute and 10-second video that explains everything. David, you're awesome. First you just watch the video and then click the link, and then we'll go from there. Trent, I wasn't able to watch the whole webinar. Is there recording? Yes, it'll be at partnerwithkeith.com. You know what? I'm going to make this executive decision right now. The video replay will be in two places. It'll be on partnerwithkeith.com simply because I've said it so many times here. And it'll also be the very first post on nothingheldback.com. Boom. There we go. I have just made the decision to launch that today. Just a quick reference to the 90-day cookie. You might share this info. If you send a link to Amazon using your affiliate ID, then you have a 24-hour cookie. CB, that technically is correct, but hold on, I didn't finish. Okay, so he gave the details, and then I realized this conversation is old, but I'm wondering why you wouldn't just change the image. If you replace images with the image, it works fine. Anyone finding conversions using the 90-day, okay, so he did say, anyone finding conversions higher using a 90-day add to cart option. I really don't like the landing page on Amazon, but in planning a short-term test on conversions. And see, CB, this is where you and I are going to agree 100%. Until you test it, we just don't know. We can speculate all day long, but the reality is that some of the oddest tests are they're just odd. I mean, nobody would guess. So test that out. If you don't mind, my personal email address, guys, is keithbax, KEITHBAX @gmail.com. There's a great chance you'll land in my promotions folder. I'm sorry, I had to throw that one out there. I check my email twice a day, once in the morning and once before bed. I'm not on it all day, so don't be offended if I don't respond back to you quickly, just because my time management life, I try to keep things very efficient. So I do check email a couple times a day, sometimes a third time a day. If I get really bored around 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I want to take a nap or something, instead I don't get bored, mind you, but if I want to take a nap, sometimes I'll just check email just to get my mind off of what I'm working on. But so just realize that if you do email me personally. Okay, let's see here. All right, guys. I am literally losing my voice at this point in time. So we are 2.5 hours into it. So I think that I am going to shut this down. I have oh my gosh, guys, I legitimately have another 100 questions in here. I just don't think I can go anymore. My voice is raspy and my water is out. So I'm going to shut this down, but it does not mean that I will not create another opportunity for us to ask questions somehow and get answers. So just give me a little bit to think about that one and kind of rest my head a little bit after doing this. And then obviously, if anybody has access to sci-fi, watch Sharkinator tonight, or Sharknado. Happens to be the best B-rated movie in the history of stupid B-rated movies. So in all seriousness, partnerwithkeith.com, fill out the form, gauge your level of interest in this. The next what the page you're going to receive after that video or after that page is the 9-minute 10-second video. Watch it. At that point in time, you're going to see 2 links. One that says yes, you're interested in more, and we'll pursue this conversation further. And no, just complete that, because there are other opportunities outside of a partnership that we can do things together in a less, less of a manner. That's probably the best way to say that. So at least go through the process and fill out the form and see where it goes, and just be honest with yourself if you want to do it or not. I can only take 10 people, so chances are a good number of people are going to have to be turned away anyway. So fill out the form, go through it, and then look for this video to be posted tonight on both nothingheldback.com and partnerwithkeith.com. I appreciate you for being here. There's still, over half of this line is still full, and we're 2 hours and 40 minutes into this. This is unbelievable. So thank you. I'm going to end this, and with that being said, you all have a wonderful night tonight.